I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show!
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. That's it. March the 3rd. This is the Anthony Gargano Show. We're presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. TrueMark.com/PHLY for the credit union difference. All right. Hope you had a happy weekend, a blessed weekend. All right. As we start a new week. Big week in Philadelphia sports as always. The news from the end of last week, Joel Embiid shut down for the rest of the season, a move that we expected. The interesting thing about the whole situation with Joe is who's right. Like the Sixers believe that there's really no recourse other than you got to play through a modicum of pain, right? Embiid has gotten extra. I was told he has seen 9 different doctors. He has 9 different opinions. And there's a lot of split stuff. There's everything from kind of going through the hip and re kind of doing the entire knee to which would be really expansive procedure to, the status quo. There's a lot to deal with. He shut down. You saw it Saturday night. It was bizarre, right? Here is no Jimmy Butler for the game. Sixers win. Quentin Grimes goes off for 44. It was bizarre, right? Like it's just one of those crazy nights where the Grimes, he couldn't miss the Grimes. But really, they got Portland tonight. And really, it's all about what's the future of this franchise? Like, what's the future of Embiid? None of this stuff matters. Right? As to what are you going to do with Embiid? Like even Paul George, we talked about. Maxey does not look right. His hand obviously is bothering him. He doesn't look good at all. There is a lot to unravel with them as far as what's the plan? Like, what are you doing? Your coach is in jeopardy. Do you get, what's going on with Morey? I hear he's safe. How do you move forward from this mess of the season? So that's Sixers. The bright spot, once again, the Flyers go into Winnipeg. The Peg, one of the best teams in hockey with Hellebuck, the best goalie in hockey. And Fedotov plays really well. He stoned Connor, who's their sniper, 3 different times. And there was Mitzkov with a highlight reel goal in OT. Flyers off the tough game against Pittsburgh, right, where they were up 3-0, squandered the lead in overtime, then go from Pittsburgh to Winnipeg, and now they begin a long homestand coming up with Calgary tomorrow night. But they go to Winnipeg and win. And Mitzkov with that goal was ridiculous. Just an amazing, great performance. They're so much fun. Right now, they're a blast, man. They're like they've become a place where I like to just go and smile, right? Like I can just watch a game. There's no stress. They're a lot of fun. All right, Combine. We got a lot of Combine to do today. Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network. He will join us coming up at 10 o'clock to go over all the news in the NFL. There's talk about Aaron Rodgers going to the Giants. Stafford goes back to the Rams, right? So we'll get into all that stuff. Look at Eagles free agency. And then Baldy, who was also at the Combine, we'll talk to him today at 10:30 to dive into it. We have our man Fran on the scene, Franny Films, Fran Duffy. We have a video of him dealing with O-line prospects. Because, look, the Eagles are going to look at the draft, and obviously D-line is their biggest need, but they'll also go O-line. You know that. They're going to look to continue to look at the offensive line because that's how you win. So we'll get all kinds of football stuff in the second hour. First hour, a lot of Sixers, Flyers, the brain to kind of dive into it. Good morning, VG.
What's going on, brother?
How was your weekend? Violations, Greg Caputo.
It was nice. Busy, productive, good. Nice weekend.
What'd you do?
Got a little ahead of the spring cleaning stuff, man. Purged a bunch of stuff. Feels good. Then we went out and nice dinner around town.
Ah, that's good.
Yeah.
I tell you, I need a spring cleaning bed. My house.
It feels good.
Ah.
It stinks doing it, but when you're done, it's like, oh man, you can breathe in this house again.
You did the whole thing.
Tons of like 4 contractor bags for the donation place, couple contractor bags for the sanitation place. Yeah.
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 Jules is our producer today.
Mm-hmm.
Our head of production, Julie Hoff. Jules, you know all about the spring cleaning? You don't do it? Yeah, we're a house of clutter.
Yeah, I live with Pagan's a borderline hoarder. Like I have to fight with her on this. And it was not easy for her letting go of like 60 books I had to donate. Her and her books. She's a books woman.
60 books?
And like everything. Oh, dude, we have like hundreds of books in the house.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah.
And everything's available.
But like you give it 60?
Yeah, because she's got all these like herbal reference, pagan reference. I was like, everything you can look up at this point. It's a digital world. Do we need all these reference books?
Oh, come on. The book is great.
Yeah. Well,
leave the pagan alone.
Well, if you're into that stuff, the Age Thrift, that Pash Young's got a ton of occultish kind of books.
I love the fact that the pagan is big in the occult.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of shutting down, can we shut Quentin Grimes down? What's this guy doing? Did he not get the memo?
Lose.
Are you kidding me?
We gotta lose. The minute that I heard Jimmy wasn't playing,
yeah,
because I'm thinking Jimmy plays. All right, it's an automatic L for the Sixers because you know he would go up.
Yeah,
but he don't care. And I still can't believe they won that game. Grimes was out of his mind, right? Maxey still struggling. Tyrese still struggling. His hands bother him.
Right.
But the big story, really, I mean, none of this stuff, like it's a shame, but like there was legs on the call Saturday night, right? Like I was pumped up. But the truth of the matter is none of it really matters, right? It's all about what's going to happen with Embiid. This murky future is all about what happens with the big guy. Like, what are you going to do? What's your plan?
Bionics, knee replacements. I don't know. How can you have a plan? He's owed like $300 million.
Well, that's the point. Like,
do you see
when I say plan, I mean plan around him. Like, what are you doing?
You have any credence to the story that Stephen A was saying that Morey, like Josh Harris, did not want to do the extension, and Morey kind of like pressured him into it?
Yeah.
Do you think Morey's safe after that?
I hear he's not going anywhere.
Wow.
I hear.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the big reasons why is they don't want all that money that they're paying executives and coaches. Like if they get rid of Nurse, that's, again, you got a lot of money that you're going to be paying guys off this failure.
Mm.
So, and by the way, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Like, because you can't, what's the plan? Like the plan is you got to somehow try to salvage Embiid because you can't move him and you owe him all the money.
Yeah, they need to exhaust every complimentary care resource, Europe, Germany, platelets.
I used to say all the time about going to the Institute in Germany, in the Black Forest.
Yes.
You remember? I said the receivers back in the day needed to go get hand transplants at the Institute.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Embiid's got to go to the Institute.
Yes. Acupuncture, acupressure, Reiki, energy healing, everything. Spells.
Johnny Box!
Got to do something.
Johnny
Look,
Box.
he can't wait to get out of here. Look at
he
him.
skulks away. He skulks, trying not to get seen.
Yeah, he's in the shadows.
Right?
He avoids the lights. He's in the shadows trying to
Johnny
sneak out
comes on before us, all right? And Johnny just loves it. He skulks. He's got the big jacket.
Look, he hides so we can't see him. The elevator takes forever to get here. He's just standing there out of sight.
Yeah, he's like, stop talking about me. He's got the Costanza coat.
Yeah, hopefully this is the last day we see that coat.
Oh my God,
it's supposed to
this
be warm up.
coat. I don't know where he got it. It is. It's like the Vortex big coat.
It's Gore-Tex.
With the fur collar. Right?
There he goes. He's getting on the elevator now.
There it is.
Yeah.
I don't know how the
He's
coat
lucky
fits.
he fits on that elevator with that coat.
The coat shouldn't fit the elevator, man.
He needs someone to press the buttons. He can't even lift his arm to press the button.
He looks like a robot. And he skulks out quick. You see him? He skulks out.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me. I gotta go.
Yeah,
Johnny Marks.
Going to the barber.
He is he's a character. But the point is like, what do you do? Where do you go from here? And again, it all has to center around somehow saving Embiid.
Saving Embiid somehow, and you got to save this pick. I just need a sliver of Cooper Flag hope.
Well,
I just need a sliver.
Yeah, I hear
Give me
you.
a 1% chance at it. I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I hear you. I think you need to pick for regardless, right? Like, you're not going to get flagged, but you're going to get a player. And I think you got to have this. You have to protect this.
I think this draft, the top 10 is deep enough that they can get a starter.
Yeah.
I think so. It's 5 or 6.
Here's the thing. You just need to, you're back into accruing assets.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to keep the pick. You can't have this season be a complete waste and get nothing from it. Like that's a disaster scenario.
And they're on track right now. They have a better record than Brooklyn now. I think
know.
they're 7th or 8th. That's what they're on track for. They owe $400 million
to those two. Yeah.
To those two guys.
I know.
$400 million.
No, and here's the problem. They're teetering on. I felt a pang of sadness. All right, Saturday night because I put the game on.
Mm-hmm.
Flyers
Knicks
were on
in the house.
Right? You know,
big deal.
Like it's national television, right? It's ABC. It's legs on the call, and it's the Warriors, right? Steph, and you know what was crazy? Like you're watching the game, and it reminded me back in the Jordan days, like when Jordan came here, you had people flocking to the arena to watch Mike.
Yep,
and it was the same way. It was like, let's have a Steph party.
Yeah.
And early on, he was bagging threes, and the arena was loving it.
Yeah. I mean, tickets, this is probably the last time tickets are going to be expensive for the Sixers. They were normal price.
But it was
it's hard to get in. I know people who are Golden State fans kind of because of the run they've been on and Steph. He's a draw, man.
He is. Oh, no, he's a rock star. He's a huge draw. But to me, that's sad, right? Like we're now in the point of, we want to go see what other players around the league. Boston said to me, he's like, "Daddy, can we go to Sixers?" I'm like, "Yeah, you want to go to Sixers?" He's like, "Yeah." I need to look. I said, "When do you want to go?" He goes, "I got to look at the schedule to see who's coming in."
Right? Yeah, smart.
And I'm like, "Oh my God, really?"
Yeah.
But he's not wrong. All right, you're not wrong. You're now looking at who's coming in.
Yeah, someone put on Twitter, they were like their kid. It's like, "Dad, can we go to the Sixers game?" And he's like, "Yeah, just not tonight." And he listed the prices of Saturday night's game was like $60 to get in, and the other ones are $3 to get in.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. Now, the flip side, which is awesome, is the Flyers.
Oh man,
like we got the Mitzkov. Jules, you got the Mitzkov goal?
I love this whole Russian story.
I do too. I do too. I got to tell you, I'm all in on it too.
Story guy.
Mitzkov really
said he did his statement was on that goal. I faked my shot and I closed my eyes.
Yeah, that kid. We talked about him a lot last week. We always talk about him, but we talked about him a lot last week about he has the chance to become one of the most skilled Flyers ever, best Flyer ever.
Yeah,
when you think about it. He's 19 years old, and he's doing this.
In a foreign country, in a different rink size, with he played no juniors over here. He just came right from Russia.
He comes over.
Yeah.
Right? Like, in this, you want to talk about fish out of water story. Comes here, and, I can only imagine life at 19. And, he's got his mom and his brother, right, who are here. And the Flyers have done a great job kind of like making him feel comfortable. But you're in this league and you're doing this already?
You're trying to learn a language while you're trying to learn a game.
Guess what? He's got a chance for the Calder.
He better win the Calder.
He's got
the only thing stopping him is Torts.
Well, listen, Celebrini had a big lead on him. And now I think they're neck and neck. Look, here's the goal. This is Mitzkov. This is in the shootout. Look at this thing. This thing's outrageous.
A little deke at the beginning is great.
That's filthy.
Yeah, it is.
That's just filthy. Look at this thing. Oh, my God. When's the last time you saw a Flyer do that?
20 years.
I mean, but as great as Lindros was.
Drew wasn't as good as that.
No. And as great as Lindros was, that's not his game. That wasn't his game. Not like that.
He had moments like that.
I know you love 88.
Yeah, I got 88 tattoo.
But he didn't have that skill. Like, that's a freakish his hands and his skill are so elite. That's freakish elite.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock anything about Myskov. It's elite as elite gets.
I'll be honest with you, I can't wait till they play again. I look forward to every time they play. I look forward to it.
When do they play again?
Tomorrow against Calgary.
I always like the Flames.
Oh yeah. No, I again seeing them, like that's why they have a big homestand. I'm hoping that during this homestand they get a lot of juice and that there's a lot of juice come in.
Oh man, you got the Flames and the Jets back.
Yeah,
Jets again. All right.
Yeah, Winnipeg back Thursday, I think.
Yeah.
I
might have to try and go down to the barn. Is that what they call it?
Yeah,
go down to the barn.
Listen, Connor. I mean, they're ridiculous. Shifley, Connor. I mean that team is unbelievable. And to beat Hellebuck, who's Fedotov played really well that game.
I didn't see his stat line, but yeah, I was reading about it.
No, he played really well. And then we got a whole hour of combine football, baby. Aaron Rodgers to the Giants.
You think the Giants?
You
don't think him and Devontae hit the Raiders?
That's the word on the street.
Yeah. Good. Bring him to the Giants. I mean, I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers at this point.
Not at all.
Keep it. Bring him on.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But the
Birds need 2 easy wins off the Giants. Bring them in.
Right. You know what's amazing?
He'll get crushed by this defensive line. He's got no maneuverability at this point.
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. I don't know what he would do with the Raiders, though. I mean, I know Brady's looking for a veteran quarterback, but in that division's ridiculous, right?
It's stacked.
So I don't know, because I think the Chargers.
You're higher on the Chargers than I am.
I love the Chargers. Yeah. I do. You know why I love the Chargers? Because of Harbaugh.
Yeah, I don't love the quarterback.
Because you don't love the quarterback? I do.
I don't think he's a winner. I think he's a little.
I think you're way wrong about that.
Yeah, he's the 1-0 yet, so we'll see.
Well, it's not about winning. Not everything's about Super Bowl or
you can look at people. You get the vibe of a champ. I don't get that vibe from him.
I go back to a game. It was to make the playoffs. It was a couple years ago, and they played. It was like a Sunday night. Last game was like the last weekend of the season, and he was ungodly in the game, clutch, and he got down the field. So I like the kid.
Yeah,
I think the kid's he throws a great ball, and he's got a great coach, and he had one receiver. So I don't know what you don't like about him.
Time will tell.
Do you watch him?
Yeah, I watch him on Red Zone. You know that. You know that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. All right, let's talk about.
He's not good in the red zone. That's
whatever.
All I know.
I don't want to spend the whole morning in March arguing about Justin Herbert. I mean,
was it
about pointless?
Was it Rossini?
You always find a way to just tweak me. Somehow.
Was it Rossini this weekend though with the Myles Garrett chatter?
It's not happening. I don't think it's happening. I don't.
Would you like it if it happened?
Give it up. Would I like Myles Garrett?
Yeah, you'd have to get rid of like Becton and Baun. I mean, bring in Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening. So,
would you like it though?
Would I like Myles Garrett?
Love it?
Yes. Would I love Myles Garrett and Jalen Carter on the same defensive line? Yes. Would that be a dream?
Yes.
D line? Yes. It would be. Well, do I think it's going to happen? No. Okay. So that's kind of why I don't get lost in it. All right. If I don't think it's plausible,
well, why is it implausible?
It's not happening. I don't believe it.
All right.
I was told several times by several different people that it's not happening. So I don't know. You know? I mean, could be all smoke. Who knows? But I don't think it's happening. All right. Lots to get to. We got our buddy, Derek Bodner, who does such a great job from the All PHLY Sixers show. He's coming up. But first, let's talk about some of our friends, like Rothman. Yeah, our good friends at Rothman Orthopedics. Right, if your joints aching, your hands cramping, your back out of whack, well, you got all of it.
Yep.
Rothman's got you at Rothman Orthopedics. Practicing specialized care has been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission, high-quality, compassionate, affordable care that's rooted in research. Research leads to new treatments and better outcomes. Each Rothman doctor is laser-focused on their specialty. Hip, knee, spine, elbow, shoulder, you name it. They have a team for every body part, each body part, right here in our backyard. so you can cross over that defense. You could go and jack some home runs, right? You got it all. Root for our teams like no other fans in the country. They are Rothman Orthopedics. They specialize in you. That's it. Rothman Orthopedics specializes in orthopedics and you for over 50 years. Visit RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today.
Let's talk about our friends over at TrueMark Financial Credit Union. We know their CEO, Kelly Boddy. She wants Myles Garrett, too. She's hopeful like me. And they got this thing going on in spring. It's time to spring into some savings so they can help you out. If you got some financial goals, whether it's buying a house, taking a dream vacation, maybe to Italy, building your emergency fund, TrueMark Financial Credit Union has the perfect savings account for you. TrueMark Financial offers high-rate certificates and money market accounts to help your money grow faster and work harder for you, because mostly big banks offer you really minimal interest rates on your savings and money markets, but not TrueMark. So visit TrueMark.com for rates and to learn more. Federally insured by the NCUA, rates are subject to change. You can visit TrueMark.com for these rates and to learn more. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA, equal opportunity lender. Rates are subject to change.
All right. Thank you, my buddy.
Yeah.
By the way, our buddy Tony the Ref, who's a big referee in the area, high school, college, he said Tyrese was at his church yesterday for service.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Played Saturday night, church Sunday morning. God bless that kid.
We need prayers for that squad.
Yes, we do.
Speaking of high school, Imhotep
won. They're good, man.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, they're good.
It was closer than I thought. I'll give Judge some props. I think it was only a 4-point game.
Imhotep.
Judge Hung
is a great. They're a dynasty.
They are a dynasty.
They are incredible. All right, to go over the Sixers, he does such a great job on the All PHLY Sixers show and all the coverage that he provides on allphly.com. Our friend Derek Bodner joins us. Derek, good morning.
Good morning. Speaking of needing prayers, let's talk about the Sixers.
Yeah. Well, that was it, buddy. You got it, man. So let's start. You got to make some sense. I heard that Joe had 9 different opinions on the knee, and that it was 3, 3, and 3. Some said status quo, nothing you could do. Some said you have to do something drastic, like redo the whole thing, like from the hip down. And then there's, trying to go in and tweak it. What are you hearing? How do we make sense of this?
Yeah, I mean, certainly when you talk about who they talked to in the summer, I think it was not necessarily a consensus, pretty close to a consensus that this was the path forward. You know, when you start talking about some of the options they have in front of him, whether that is knee, meniscus replacement, whether that is osteotomies, and I'm struggling on these words because these aren't really words that I use every day, but this is the life that we chose.
Dr. Bodner.
None of them are necessarily even close to guarantees. Most of them haven't really been tried on high-level athletes, especially athletes of this size. So I think in the offseason, it was pretty much consensus. He had the surgery. Now you got to, recover from it, have your body adjust to it, and go from there, because every option in front of you is either, like I said, low percentage or unproven. But obviously the knee didn't react the way that they were hoping to. So now you're getting a little bit more desperate. You're trying stuff that maybe you dismissed in the offseason. And I think everyone's looking at it, and I don't think there's necessarily a consensus, and I certainly don't think there's any path forward that anyone thinks is anything close to a surefire. So it is not it's not a great situation to be in.
So obviously, whatever happens, he's going to miss probably a big portion of next year as well. I don't know how do they go? And I think the one thing people don't know or understand is that they think the team has control over the situation. And that's not the case. And Joe has his own team, his own doctors that he solicits. So how does this thing play itself out? Because it's not like the Sixers go, all right, here's the plan. Our doctors say this, and you have to follow the protocol. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no, certainly when you're talking about a medical situation for a player, he's going to have a huge say, and it's his knee, it's his quality of life. And a lot of things we're talking about here, it's not just getting back on the court. Like there are an osteotomy is one of the reasons you do that is to try to avoid a knee replacement further on down the line. These are real legitimate quality of life issues that come from not having any meniscus there to brace the knee. And again, you're not talking about a 5'10", 160-pound, average size adult. You're talking about a 7 foot, 280 individual playing a high impact sport. It's a completely different ball game. Yeah, I don't. Again, I think it was real telling that the Sixers declared him out for the rest of the season, but didn't have a treatment plan ready to go because I think there is no obvious next step. There's going to be a lot of consultations on trying to get that right. In terms of how it goes, how much time he missed, it's really entirely dependent on what the next course of action is, and we just don't know that yet. So it could be anywhere from like he doesn't get any surgery and he just tries to get better and he's quote unquote ready to go. And I'm going to use that in air quotes because you never really know with this knee injury, but he tries to play again at the start of next season, or he could have massive, like, meniscus transplant. Like you're talking, he could miss 18 months. It's anywhere in between those two spectrums. And we're really just waiting on more information.
And here's the thing. What do you do if you're the franchise? The one thing that you have to do is save your pick. I mean, that's the one thing that you have to do. And that's because you're talking about an asset that's out there. I just don't know what you do if you're the Sixers. And by the way, you look at them and, every win now matters. It sucks, but we're back in the process days.
Yeah, like I know what you do, and that is you do everything you can to keep that pick. And again, we're talking about the Sixers owe a top 6 protected pick to OKC. So basically, if after the lottery it ends in the top 6, the Sixers keep it. Otherwise, it goes to Oklahoma City. If you end up with a, I think where they are right now in a 7 seed, they would only have like a 40% chance of keeping that pick. You can get that up to theoretically like 66%. It's never going to be a guarantee. There's too many bad teams in the league. But clearly keeping that pick and giving yourself the best chance for Cooper Flag at the top of this draft is the best way forward. So you're talking about people who I'm not sure if they feel entirely confident in the status of their jobs. So if to them, certainly they're going to try to get that 10 seed, get into that play-in, try to, I'm going to, again, air quotes, compete, try to at least make this season look more respectable. That's clearly not what's best for the future of the franchise.
No, it's not. I mean, the process was started because of moments like this, where you were in this purgatory situation. Being in a play-in where you have no chance to win is just a waste of time, and it sets you back because you lose the pick. So at some point, do they shut down Maxey, George? Like, what do you do?
I mean, Tyrese Maxey right now can't even shoot a basketball. Like he's trying to learn how to shoot a basketball with 3 fingers because he has an injured pinky. And it's like, what? And Paul George has a torn tendon in his pinky that he could re-aggravate at any second. It's like, what are we freaking doing here? Yes, they should absolutely shut them down. It wouldn't even be about tanking. Like I said, Tyrese Maxey, for maybe the first time in years, maybe the first time in his career, looked scared to shoot a basketball the other day. Why are we trying to catch? It really is a travesty that the NBA has set this up where 10 teams now feel like they have a chance to make the playoffs, because the Sixers and the Chicago Bulls in no normal situation look like teams that deserve anything approaching a playoff berth. And yet here they are tricking themselves into thinking that they matter. No, they need to shut Maxey down. They need to shut Paul George down. I don't think they're going to do it because I think they want to chase that 10th seed. But without Joel Embiid coming back, who even cares?
So who's making that decision? Is that Morey? Is that Josh Harris? Is it David Edelman? Like, who's making that decision? Because at some point, ownership should say, you guys, we got to protect it. Like, we got to somehow protect that pick. Because you know as well as I do, the way this thing went and the fact that they never won, never even got to a finals, that does deep-rooted harm to a fan base. And it's going to take you a long time to rebuild that interest again.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a great question of who really drives this, because I think Daryl and Nick would be on the same page. Like I said, in part because I'm not sure anyone in that building is truly comfortable in their job, not when a season goes off the rails as much as this is. And if you look at, like, compare their win total with the preseason projections, this is one of the most disappointing seasons in recent memory. So do you have the organizational, like, does ownership have the kind of vision where they would step in? I don't know. Like, I don't know how Josh Harris is looking at playoff revenue. I don't know how Josh Harris is looking at how the team looks from the outside. It's a great question. I'd love to ask him. He doesn't really make himself available to media all that often, but they need somebody, an adult in the room, to step in and be like, no, this is the best path forward for the franchise. We need this draft pick. We need to maximize our chances. Like I said, they could finish anywhere from 4th worst record to probably like 7th or 8th. You're talking about the difference of an 81% chance of keeping your pick versus like a 32% chance. Like, that's a monumental difference.
Yes.
They need an adult to really give them their true north right now, and that is not making the play-in.
And this is where Morey, who knows this better than anybody, this is where he has to take the bullet and do what's best for the team. No matter if your future's murky or not, you've made a lot of money. You've done a lot. You've done a lot here. You've made a ton of cash. It's time to do what's right for the franchise. And he knows what's right for the franchise.
Yeah. No, I've no doubt that everyone in that building probably knows what's right for the franchise. And maybe Nick the least, because like coaches, they don't care about 19-year-old VJ Edgecombe. Like that's just not crossing their mind right now.
Right.
But a general manager certainly does. Like, he knows how transformative hitting a home run in the draft can be and how that can set you up for a decade of success. But job security is maybe the primary driving factor in almost every decision made across the NBA. And the Sixers are.
I know. I just look at it and go, all right, hey, Eel, you got a huge bag. All right. You've done it. All right. Now, I also hear that he's not out. That you know them. They're not going to look. They don't want to pay executives with years left in their contract.
He's got like 3 years and $45 million left on his contract. No, exactly. I don't think Josh Harris wants to eat that at all.
Right. So I think he comes back. So knowing that, I don't know why you wouldn't shut them down if you're Daryl Morey.
Yeah, look, I think you're probably right in that contract might be Daryl's saving grace right now. And also, like, if you're going to look at Daryl's track record, the draft with Maxey and McCain's like the one thing he has done unequivocally well. It's almost hard to argue that one. But I think you're right in that the amount left on his contract, both in years and dollars, insulates him a little bit from the fallout of this season. But I think when you're in that position, very few people are truly 100% confident. Like, you can be getting assurances from ownership and you still might not 100% believe it just because you know the way that the league reacts to seasons like this. And I do think, like, it's one thing if you wanted to sell me on making the play-in tournament when you thought Joel Embiid was going to play. And even then, I disagreed with it very strong. But at least I could understand the logic behind that. Get in as a 10 seed. Maybe Joel Embiid's back to playing regularly. Maybe that changes the complexion of the team. If Joel Embiid's out for the season, you have no chance. You might win a play-in and get swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round, but who cares? And I think, like you said, logically, I think Daryl Morey's smart enough to know that. Does he have the sort of confidence and ownership that he will see that through? We'll see.
I'm looking at Derek's a great follow on Twitter, and he's got pinned to the top is the odds of them keeping their pick. And I mean, they don't even have more than 50% shot of keeping their pick unless they're the fifth worst team. That seems feasible. But even if they're the sixth worst team, they're only a 45% chance to keep their pick. This is super depressing. So, Derek, you're like the cap person, the best cap person I know. Just say, in my mind, if I was thinking, man, what if Joe can't play and he retired? What happens to that contract money and the cap space?
Yeah. So basically, the Sixers could then petition the league to have the cap hit basically removed from their books. He would still get paid. It wouldn't count against team salary when you're talking about salary cap space. Okay. Is really the only difference. It would take, the first time you could position the league is 12 months after his last played game. So you're still talking about you won't get any relief next year. And if the Sixers are over the cap, then they're just over the cap. Like, they still have Paul George and Tyrese Maxey on max contracts. They wouldn't necessarily gain a ton of cap room by doing this, but you would get that basically zeroed out is the easiest way I could say that. It would take a year. Like I said, you have to be approved by independent doctors to say, yes, he actually can't play basketball going forward. But there is a pathway where he still gets his money and you can get that money off of your books.
Yeah, it is bleak.
Jeez.
I mean, we're back to those things. You covered them. You've been down there and you've seen it where fans come to the games to see the opposition. So it was the Steph show Saturday night. Now, Grimes stole it, but it was really people went down there to watch Steph.
Yeah. No, and I mean, Steph's, it's an incredible show. It really, and the moment Steph got out of that game, I was like, oh, wow, this guy is as important as any player in the league because they just have no talent around him, no way to score, especially with Jimmy out of the lineup. This is really tough, I think, for fans because I think there's a lot of frustration with Joe because he's been unavailable, because he's certainly not a perfect leader or a perfect person. But I think he's put, like, a lot of these injuries have been so tough on him, in part because it's not like we can talk about whether or not he could have been in better shape. That doesn't prevent Jonathan Kuminga from falling on his leg. It's just been really, really unfortunate and something that he spent half of his life basically building towards. He was improving as a basketball player up until 13 months ago when that injury happened. He was having his best season of his career. And to go from that to what we saw over the last couple of weeks, it's undoubtedly tough on him. We can go back to that conversation about getting the cap or his contract removed from the cap. I don't think Joe's at a point where he wants to retire. I think he wants to go back out there and try to play basketball. This has been his life work. So I think he's going to give it another go, certainly. So if we're talking about cap relief, it's going to be a while. But it's just an unfortunate situation all around.
I agree with you too. Like I don't have any ill will. Like listen, we could talk about body language in the past and playoff time, and whatever, being in shape or whatever. But this is not his fault. I mean, I can't blame him for that injury and his body breaking down. I just can't do it. To me, it's just more of a. It's this whole franchise has been cursed. And it's amazing when you go through chapter and verse of this process and what's happened. It's unbelievable. Now, I don't know what you do with George. That's a question that I would have. Like, once you find out how long Embiid is, like, what do you do with George? Because he's still an aging player. If you're ever going to move him, it would probably be this summer, right?
Yeah, he's an aging player, and I think it's clear that some of those lower body injuries have sapped some of his burst off the dribble. So he's still theoretically a good fit next to Embiid, and that he's one of the more, although he struggled this year, one of the more reliable catch and shoot players in the league who can play some semblance of two-way game. But he's not. He's more of a ceiling raiser if Embiid is playing at an MVP level than he is a floor raiser of being able to lift your team when Joel Embiid's out. So he doesn't make as much sense if you can't rely on Joel. But that is a massive contract, still 3 years and $160 some odd million left on it. And it's a probably negative value, or at least close to it, contract in the league. So I think it's going to be hard to find a suitor for him. Even if you trade him, it's tough to get any real flexibility in return because they're going to be over the salary cap. So it's, can you actually find something that makes sense for both teams from the limited pool of teams that would have interest in trying to acquire him? I think it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and then you have the other issue, which is the rest of the roster. Like, the rest of the roster isn't very good. It doesn't really fit, and it's not really good. You're lacking size. Like, you look at Drummond, man, he's cooked. Right? You look around, you go, you have no forwards. You can play no defense. The rest of the roster's pretty sad.
Yeah, I mean, you're really hoping that Jared McCain really develops, and he showed a lot. But even there, you look at McCain and Maxey, and it's tough to build around two guards like that, two undersized guards who are going to struggle defensively. That's where maybe prime Joel Embiid would make that work. But the whole point of this show right now is that you can't count on prime Joel Embiid ever returning. Yeah. So, they're not in a great spot. They do have some, like I said, some young talent in Maxey and McCain that are really interesting. Throw in a top 6 pick here, and it can get really interesting really quickly, especially if you hit the top, because Cooper Flagg would maybe be the perfect prospect you would put alongside those two. And you still have some tradable draft picks in the future where you have some flexibility if you ever want to be aggressive. But none of that really matters if you don't have a truly transformative Joel Embiid. And they're in a tough
and you saw what was around him when he couldn't, because he felt like he was going gingerly on defense. And so that was a big, what you really saw how devoid they are of defensive players when you didn't have Embiid protecting the rim. And that was an eye opener. You go, I don't know how you're going to compete. I mean, that's
Joel Embiid has made really bad defensive lineups work pretty much the entirety of his career. Over the last month or so of him playing, especially against Boston, but really in most of the time since he came back, he looked like one of the problems defensively. And I've never really seen that happen. And you talk about his body language. A lot of times, body language in the past, he would be moping, like maybe he didn't get a call he wanted, or maybe someone frustrated him. He looked like he was frustrated at himself because he knew he couldn't make the rotations he previously did. And that's a very, very disconcerting place to be in for Sixers. I've always worried about his game aging defensively more than I've worried about it aging offensively, because he's still going to have, incredible touch on the jumper. He's still going to have enough skill level and enough craft to get to the foul line. But the league has never been more punishing for immobile big men. And he looked like an immobile big man in the month of January and February for the first time in his career. And who knows whether or not that's ever going to get back.
And it hurts him more. I was told it was hurt. it hurts him more on defense because of how you have to come back out and quick movement, and it was in the back of his mind. So, I mean, you could see it. Like, you could see the effort. You could see he was scared to go at it like he used to on defense.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And he looked indecisive, I think, in part because he knew he couldn't do what he wanted to do. He couldn't do what his instincts have taught him to do. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of indecision there.
Hey, Derek, without trying to fire up Anthony, I just wanted to see what your take is on Nick Nurse and the job he's done. He looks like a guy who's been mentally frustrated and kind of checked out as well. Is he as bad as he's looked this year, or is it just a combination of things?
Yeah, I mean, look, is he as bad as he's looked this year? No, probably not. Like, he did a good job with Toronto, not only obviously winning the title, but I think the year after, when they lost Kawhi, he came back and they really played some great basketball. But a lot of it is this the right situation for him? And is he getting the most out of the roster? And I think that's clearly no. So is he like a horrible coach? No. Is he the right coach for this situation? I can't say that either. The fact that they have been basically the worst defense in the league since January 1st, and the fact they really didn't look like they had any kind of clear, organizational philosophy of how to win those minutes without Joel Embiid, when they came in knowing that Embiid would miss 15 to 20 games almost at a bare minimum, it has been frustrating. I think he's clearly had no answers for most of the problems this season. Certainly I think no coach would look great in this environment, but I don't think he's done anything to really stem the tide and fix what, like I said, it just doesn't seem like he has any answers. So no, I think he's done a poor job. Does that mean he's a bad coach? Not necessarily, but he's been a bad coach this year.
Yeah. No, one of the things that would frustrate me was, like, you're going zone against Boston, and like that's the worst team to go zone against. And I know afterwards he said, well, it wasn't working. Well, you don't really practice zone. Like, Miami's the only team in the league that really practices zone. Like, your zone is bad. It's a bad zone. Any NBA team, let alone the Celtics, who and remember when they had that big lead and Boston came back, that when he switched the zone, they got hot, and it was like stuff like that was so mindless. I just didn't understand it. Yeah.
No, look, it's one thing for your man-to-man defense to not work. It's another thing to think going 2-3 zone against the highest volume shooting 3-point team in league history was going to work. I mean, this is for the most part, when people complain about threes, I think it's misguided, because for the most part, threes are not replacing like layups or shot in the paint. They're replacing mid-range jumpers. You're just changing one jumper for a jumper that's worth a little bit more. Boston's like the one team that will legitimately be like, no, I don't want this shot at the rim. I'm going to kick it out for a corner three. And you're going to a zone in which an open three is pretty much one pass away every possession down the floor. It was mind-boggling. And like I said, it's just a coach that doesn't look like he has any answers right now. Yeah. And that game was maybe the perfect example of it.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother, as always, you do such a great job. You understand the league better than, anybody. The cap situation, it's really interesting. You're always on top of it. So thanks for your great work, buddy. We always appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate that anytime.
There he is, Derek Bodner, all PHLY. You got to follow him. He's terrific. He really is. He's got a great handle on all this stuff. All right. Now joining us. All right. Well, pretty soon he will be here. Is LaBrain.
Is he traveling? Can he fit us in with his travels?
Who knows? Brought to us by the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. We'll get to the brain coming up. We have conference tournaments about to start.
Yeah, we do.
All that stuff is about to happen. I love conference tournaments. It's underrated.
The small ones.
You know what I love? Because I love when there's games during the day.
Love it.
Right? I don't know what it is, but anytime there's sports during the afternoon.
Sports that matter?
Weekday.
Yes.
Speaking of which, can I just laud the NHL for a second?
Yeah.
I often wondered why, when football ends, Sunday afternoon, people are programmed to watch sports.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So football goes away, and yesterday, every once in a while, there's a couple college basketball games.
Yesterday was a bad slate.
But bad slate, right? It was horrible.
Nothing interesting.
The NBA, horrible, right? And the NHL does a triple header on TNT. And it was great. great hockey. Like I was running around because we had basketball, we had baseball, practice, the whole thing.
Yep.
But I came home. I just want my Sunday afternoon. I want to watch a game for a couple hours. The NHL every Sunday does the triple header on TNT. It's great.
You're all hockeyed up right now.
I am, dude.
You are hockeyed up.
I am.
Yeah.
I find myself watching.
Moss is going to play some hockey. I'm feeling. Yeah.
We can't fit in. I would love for him, but there's no way we can. You just got to give up everything else.
Yeah.
That was always because he played it a little bit, and he was getting there and he was skating. But I mean, he's got you have to commit all the time.
Were you running around while the fills were on? I liked putting on the fills yesterday a little bit. It's nice having them on.
Yeah, you know what? Like I caught the first. Well, it was last weekend. I caught it, and I was like, I'm in. And then I probably won't unless there's nothing on. Like
starters are throwing.
I know
they're all throwing.
I know, but
Sanchez got like a 98 slider.
He's like, I know. I can't wait for the start of the season.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking forward to. The spring ball. Man. I've watched so much baseball. Listen, when you cover baseball and you have to be at every exhibition game, you need it. You need the real stuff.
Yeah, I'm not watching the full game. I check in for the first 2 innings to see how the starter pitcher looks.
I like to watch.
You like to watch a fourth quarter Niners Hall of Fame game versus the Vikings in August. You'll watch that. Come on. Come on, dude. Can't watch Chris Sanchez throwing gas at the first inning yesterday.
That's true. That. All right. Well, we got we got them. All right. Because then we got our combine. We're going to go to Mike Garafolo NFL Network at 10, Baldy at 10:30, and dive into the combine. But first, the brain. Brain.
Brain. Red the brain, Feinberg.
Good morning, La Brain.
I think we need to change my nickname, Anthony, from the brain to the not brain. I dropped my phone into the toilet, and yep. I mean, I spent, dude. If you know how much time
wait. Let's break this down. How does this
Victoria
happen?
won't even stop. She won't get off me. She's like, "How do you do that? Who's
Are you
that
placing a
dumb to drop
bet?
your phone
Are you
into a toilet?"
multitasking? Are you placing a bet while you're doing things in there?
Dude,
You are a whiz.
Maybe on my deathbed I'll tell the real truth on how it happened, but pick about that for me to tell it. But yeah, no, I'm just an idiot.
No, seriously. What, like, were you like this over the stall?
Yeah.
Texted?
It was in like I was wearing a hoodie like you're wearing a little bit, and I had the phone in the hoodie, and somehow, I don't know how, it fell in there, and I'm like, oh no. And I literally like
hoodie pockets
grabbed
are
it
not
out
great pockets
immediately.
For things.
Dude, I'm pathetic.
He's disheveled. Mondays he's usually clean cut. Look at him. He's all stubbled out today. He usually looks good on Mondays.
You're a smart man usually, but it's funny. I was in Tennessee. My flight I had like a 7 a.m. flight. So what did I do? I stayed up all night.
Oh,
I didn't go to bed.
You hit a casino? What are you doing all night?
No, I was just doing research, staying up. Of course, Carson's sleeping. I wake up. I didn't wake up. I'm sorry. I just left for the airport. I didn't sleep. So
look at
I got back to Florida. I was so tired. Then my phone drops in the toilet, and I'm just like, I'm all disheveled. I'm a mess.
Yeah. Listen, we've all had those days, dude.
Yeah.
Phone in the toilet. Oh, that's
the phone
priceless.
is basically now in the toilet. So gotta go when I'm off with you. I'm going to be going on the phone and hopefully get a new phone because it is.
I hate that process. Buying a phone process stinks.
So annoying.
Yeah, so annoying.
Well, we become so reliant on them.
I know.
They're like your computers in your pocket. And your whole life is on them, and it's tough. I'm with you.
It's tough.
All right, Brain. What are we looking at? What are we looking at today? Hey, real quick, conference tournaments start soon. The little ones are starting now. I think they're underrated, the conference tournaments.
Well, look, Anthony, again, as we talked about, you've heard me complain enough about the NBA to you. Like, in terms of just being a sportsman, right? And in terms of watching games and enjoying them. College basketball, at least especially for the tournaments, I always have enjoyed, and I'll watch I'll watch any of it. I really will. As long as I feel like there's two teams giving emotion and putting in full effort, I'm in. And you should get that for these tournaments. I'm looking forward to it. And then, of course, the big tournament itself, I'm looking forward to. But I will say this, actually, Anthony. I did go. I told you I was in Tennessee to watch two great games. I went down to the last shot.
Yeah, you
the
saw
Knicks game against
the
Memphis.
Knicks on
San
Friday.
Antonio. I went Saturday, and
Yeah.
it was interesting. They were again, but this is what I'm talking about the coaches not caring about the fans. Memphis did not play Ja Morant because, oh my God, it was a back-to-back. They didn't play Desmond Bane because, oh my God, it was a back-to-back. They're two of the three best, who are the big three. They sit. Now they are losing the entire game by 25 points. They make a comeback of all comebacks. They tied up. Jaren Jackson must have had 40. And then with 1 second to go, De'Aaron Fox hits a step back jumper, and they win like 128, 126 or something like that. But I got two good games. I was lucky. In person, I enjoyed it, but just the lack of caring about your fan base, I can't get over it.
Yeah, it's brutal. That's brutal. But the conference tournaments are coming up, and that's always fun. You get do you deal with how do you view that as a handicapper? No?
My favorite thing, Anthony, to do, especially again, for me, and I have my live betting, my favorite time of the year is the college basketball tournaments. Usually, though, for me, it's mostly the actual big tournament, unless it's a smaller tournament. I'll give you an example. If it's the MAC conference where one team's to get into the tournament, I know every team's going to be playing their hardest. If it's the Big Ten or the SEC, sometimes these teams, I don't want to say want to lose, but they're like, all right, we don't need to play 4 games in 4 days
Right.
and blow our gas out, so to speak. But when it's max effort, my live betting in those games tends to be the best it is for over the course of the entire season. When I know both teams are playing their hardest and there's no me having to guess or speculate, is a coach not going to try as hard or in terms of taking players out at certain moments because it just doesn't mean everything to them. But when it's live betting for these smaller conference games, it's my favorite thing to bet. Again, live betting, not so much betting before the game, but watching the game, knowing both these teams are busting their you-know-whats, giving everything they have.
Do you have a formula for your live betting?
Yeah, it's basically something I've had developed probably about, God, I want to say, how old am I now? About 25 years ago. And knock on wood, I've never had a losing never had a losing year. Now that I say that, I'm sure I'll get my butt kicked. But never had a losing year even once in those 25 years. It used to work, used to work all the time in every game. But what happened was over time, I found that it stopped winning. And I think that was because coaches, players, when that whole thing started with people not playing all their players all their time, players resting. There has to be full motivation for it properly to work.
Well, can you tell us what it is?
Motivation. It would take a long time to explain it. I mean, I really, especially on a short segment on air, it really would not be easy to explain. I'm not trying to not share
Broad
information.
strokes?
I'm really not.
Like I look at it, like a first half. Is it halftime?
It's
like,
basically it's basically like, yeah, what you're saying. It's basically how the game is going. I'll give it to you, the Cliff Notes version. How the game is going, like how it's going, unless there's something fluky. Again, if the team is making 8 of 9 threes, that's not sustainable. But if the game is going, like you're not seeing anything crazy, and let's say one team is up by 15 points, and let's say they're a 2-point favorite, okay, trying their hardest. Let's say they're a 2-point favorite, and let's say the game's at halftime. Okay, so they should be favored by about 1 point in each half, correct? If they're a 2-point favorite, theoretically, they're favored by 1 in each half. What the line makers will do is they'll say, okay, they'll make that team that's a 2-point underdog favored by about 5 points in the second half, and the game line will go to 10. I'll take the team that's up 15, taking 5 points in the second half, saying, okay, I have a team that's the tiny bit better, taking 5 points, trying their hardest. Because you're not, again, that's the whole thing about motivation. They need to be trying their hardest for this to work. But when I know they're trying their hardest and I have the better team taking, let's say, 5 points and a half, it's not easy to win a half by 6 points when you're the worst team. Just think about it. If me and you were tennis players, and let's suppose, you know, you're slightly better than me. You win 57% of the time, and you're trying your hardest, and they favor me where I'm laying $1.30 to you, and you're the better player.
Right.
You keep betting on you, you're probably going to win, right?
Right.
And that's kind of how it is. And again, I have data on this for thousands and thousands of games.
Sure.
It's been great for me, but again, I know which ones win. I know which ones don't. And, you know, I consistently win, 3 out of 5 or higher, which is, you know, is pretty good. So I wait all year to get to this moment, actually. College basketball, live betting, and then the NBA playoffs live betting. That is my bread and butter, so to speak.
It's weird because in college, you see these wild swings. There's always like...
You do.
Like, because it's the nature of basketball, but in college especially, you know, one team's up 28-12, and then the next thing you know, it's, you know, there's a run and the game's tied, you know?
The NBA has been better for me in terms of my record on this, probably because of what you said. But last year in college, I did great. I think in the tournament, I was like 16-5 or something like that. There's only like 21 games to meet the criteria, but they basically all won. But again, it's trial and error. Having done this for 25 years, I've had a feel of what ones to do and which ones to lay off as well. That's what I'm saying. It's not as easy just to explain.
Yeah.
But that's more or less the crux of it. Is when you have the better team trying their hardest, taking points, but also can't be a massive blowout. Can't be a 25-point game because then it doesn't work. But if it's a non-blowout and you have the better team taking points, just think how powerful that is.
Right.
Trying their hardest. It can't lose.
Right.
That's why it doesn't lose.
The brain
doesn't lose.
The brain.
Yeah. Talking like
there you go. Hey, listen, I gotta pick myself off the toilet, so to speak.
All right.
But anyway, listen.
You got anything tonight?
Couple things. Look, I was at this Memphis game, and it's funny watching Jaren Jackson. Like him a lot as a player, but man, one thing he doesn't do is rebound. Because I was actually trying to look at his rebounding, believe it or not, because I'm always taking his under and rebounds just because of the data, and I'm winning. And I'm always like, why does he not rebound? Because he tries to help on plays, he blocks shots, but he's really not in position to get rebounds. They made his over under 6.5 rebounds tonight. 17-3 his last 20. 41-17 overall, but I like the 17-3 his last 20 because they were missing guys earlier in the season. Memphis, like Jaren Jackson, under 6.5 rebounds. Bam Adebayo over 3.5 assists. Consistent 60% winning bet. Going against a very bad defensive team in Washington, I'll take my chances. And I think we're getting a little bit of a recency bias in the Sixers game tonight, Anthony. Draymond Green is averaging 8.5 points. Now his last 7, he's been good. He's averaging like 13-ish his last 7. Now, maybe that's because Jimmy Butler's gotten there and that's somehow helping him. Maybe I'm not giving that enough credit. But they made his over-under tonight, 10.5 points. I think it's too high. I'm going to go Draymond, who's been 29-17 of the under that. And then a couple games in the NBA just itself, Anthony, VG. I like Portland getting 3 points against the Sixers. Sixers had a great win against
Let's go Blazers.
Go Blazers.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go
protect the
Blazers.
pick.
Well, Portland's been playing really well. Portland, and it really is. It's funny. If the Sixers, again, here's a situation where it seems like every team is shutting everyone down except the Sixers. They're playing Paul George 42 minutes. They're playing Maxey 39 minutes just to get this number 10 speed to lose right away and give away that pick to. I mean, this to me actually is the one time I probably would be in favor of doing what these teams do. And then the Rockets getting 9.5 against OKC. Rockets fully healthy now. Let me down against Sacramento, but. I think OKC is great, but I don't think they're going to win this game by double digits.
I like it.
Well, I'll give you some help. Daytona Beach, Florida. Grambling State, plus 3.5 versus Bethune-Cookman tonight.
Grambling State, baby.
Plus 3.5.
This guy does not lose. This guy does not lose. I mean, I'm going to bet it. Grambling plus 3. I'm just going to do it on the. I'm betting the trash man stuff on the blind until this guy loses. In fact, I'm going to do a
Not doing it.
With a $100 parlay. Hopefully, win like 10 in a row and turn into what? $100,000?
Yeah, sure.
Here you go.
Split the profits with you, brother.
I'll take 1% of that. If you win $100,000, give me 1%.
Here you go. That's a deal.
Done. Grambling plus 3.5, my friend. I'm
good luck with the
now.
phone situation.
Yeah, you love
it. I appreciate you. Be good. God, see you tomorrow.
See you, buddy. Brent, I wonder if I got to ask Mikey Garafolo, who will be joining us coming up from to talk about the combine. He's always on the phone. He lives on the phone, right? It's his job.
Mm-hmm.
Has he ever lost a phone in the toilet? Brain right in the toilet.
Yeah, I would think a man of his resources would have like a waterproof case.
Who knows?
You know?
I don't. He's
He's
nuts.
like a tech guy crushing on. He don't have a waterproof case.
Yeah. All right. Tell you about our partners. That's right. Because the brain is brought to us by the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. There you go. Like we're getting a conference tournament time, March Madness, soon to be baseball. And he told you, take the Blazers tonight. So we're going to do I can't believe we're doing this again, but
Can't believe it.
we're
Here we
rooting
are.
against our Sixers so they can get the pick. We're back to process.
How are they favored?
I can't believe it. Let's go Portland.
Yes.
Simons. All right.
Portland getting 3.
All right. Outright.
What's the Portland team total? Let's see.
Outright. Let's go Portland all the way. Lots to get to. But listen, on that Bet Park Sportsbook online casino, you have all the games. You have everything. So much fun. Get some skin in the game. And all the casino stuff they have is great. Right? So much fun. You can make your downtime fun time. My boy over here, he loves the live dealer. Blackjack, roulette, craps, Baccarat. He's a big Baccarat guy. And all the online slots, the Rocky slots, the Peaky Blinders slots, it's right there on the app. New customers, in fact, you download the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app, and you get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. BetParks.com has all the details. You got to be in PA. You got to be 21. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Ohio, Maryland. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Also, Golden Nugget Jewelers. I've been telling you, right? You got to have a jeweler. Yeah, I just have to. It's a prerequisite. Like, you need people that understand how to fix your house. You need everything from a plumber, right? You name it. You need a jeweler because there's these moments in life that you got to come up strong when it comes to jewelry. All right? If you want to be married, you're going to have a jeweler. All right? That's just bottom line. You need the jeweler to get engaged.
True.
All right?
Yes.
You need the jeweler for all the anniversaries and birthdays and then Mother's Day. I mean, you name it. Golden Nugget Jewelers. That's my man, Yaron. Go see him. In fact, we got Massimo the dog tag.
Did you?
Yeah. He loved it. Sporting around his chain.
Nice. I just texted Yaron on Friday. I'm going to go see him about a sapphire.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Perfect, right? There you go. Our guy, Yaron at Golden Nugget Jewelers, make him your guy. Golden Nugget Jewelers right in the heart of Jewelers Row in Center City, 8th and Chestnut. GoldenNuggetJewelers.com. It's where Philly gets engaged. This portion of the show is brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. TrueMark.com/PHLY for the credit union difference. Now, joining us, our man from the NFL Network. Man, I can only imagine his phone. How many texts, tweets, you name it, during the course of a day. South Philadelphia's own Mike Garafolo. Michael, good morning.
The next 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks will be the extent to which I push this phone right here.
So your screen time daily.
Oh, I don't look at it. I turn that off.
How many unread
What do I
text
wanna know
messages? How many unread text messages do you have?
119, but they're not. That's not right though, because you get it says 119, right, and then you click on it, and then it says, well, I don't want to show you that. Then it says, where's the number? The number went away.
How many do you have?
119, and then it usually gives you a number up top. Oh, there it is, 18. So I don't know where they are.
So do you
There's one
during
from
the
Anthony.
course of
Sorry.
a day? Being an NFL insider is all about phone work. It's just all about phone work. Now you were at the combine, so you got a lot of FaceTime, but now free agency, it's a whole thing. So you're just like, how many text messages would you fire off during the course of the day during this period?
I'd be guessing. Yeah. The next 2 weeks is is where we're just. I told my wife already because she has no concept of. She forgets training camp every year. She's like, "Oh, that's right. I didn't realize that this was a busy time with the training camps and the when is that again? August every single year. Late July into mid-August every single year. It never moves. So I had to remind her that like next week I'm here, but I'm pretty much not here. So
Right. You're not present.
Yeah, like it just act like he's traveling next week. So, yeah, like the first day of free agency is 1,000. I mean, I don't even know what the right number is. It's just nonstop, and it's the good thing. But I always like the fact that it's over in 4 days, right?
Yeah.
Like when it opens on Monday next week, the negotiating window, and then the actual start of the league year is Wednesday. By Friday, it's already slowed down. Like these baseball writers that just have the sword hanging over their head for the entire offseason. I mean, Harper signed in like February that year, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Schwarber late. Yeah.
And it's over Christmas and New Year's and all these dates, and it just could happen at any time. That to me is torture.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the blitz and have it be over with quickly.
Do you ever drop your phone in the toilet like the brain did?
Did I ever drop my phone in the toilet? No, I don't think I know I dropped a recorder in there one time. Which I don't even use those anymore. Now
notes while he's going.
I don't think I ever dropped the phone in the toilet. I dropped it in water. I don't think I've ever dropped it in the toilet.
Yeah. All right, let's get down to business. First, big picture. What did you glean from Indy? And by the way, you're a great photographer as well.
You noticed that, huh? I better win a Pulitzer for that picture of Rappaport and Jordan Schultz.
That picture that made the rounds of the Starbucks, was shot by that man right there. Mike Garafolo shot that picture.
I can neither confirm nor deny. I actually, Ian's publicist was like, well, why didn't he get something? Like, either do it and put it out himself, or I should have sold it to TMZ. If I knew the story was going to make TMZ, I would have sold the damn picture to TMZ. I blew it.
Could have made a score.
Yeah. So, but I have no further comment on Rappaport versus Schultz. What did I glean? I gleaned that, and we already saw it with the Rams. There are a lot of teams that are looking for quarterback help. And I think we're going to get some clarity on the Vikings and Sam Darnold here over the next day or so. Tomorrow's the deadline to franchise tag guys. I don't think they're going to tag him, but I think they're going to I know they're going to try and do a deal before that gets done. So we'll see. If you've got a quarterback, there are teams that don't have them, and there are teams that are desperate for them, and there are teams that are going to make desperate moves here for them. So the old bird in the hand is what we're seeing from teams that have the quarterback. And, I think the Rams and Stafford's relationship over the last year, I actually heard it before the game against the Eagles. I was told that day, like, hey, keep an eye on this moving forward here. This might not be the easiest. And it wasn't. I mean, there was work to be done, and he was able to talk to other teams. And I think in the end, he looked at it and said, what am I going to do? Make another $5 million per year over the next 2 years from the Raiders, but I got to uproot everything or take a jet back and forth, because I want my family to stay in LA. And in the end, he decided to hang in there with the Rams. So, we're going to see that over the next couple of days and weeks here, because Pittsburgh needs a quarterback. The Browns need a quarterback. The Giants need a quarterback. The Jets need a quarterback. And there's just not enough butts to fill all these seats.
So you'll have Darnold, Cousins, Rodgers.
Yeah.
And
then to a lesser extent, Fields, Jimmy G, Russell Wilson. So there are options. It's just how big
is Flacco going back at it?
Flacco, Daniel Jones. I forgot about Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones, my prediction is he replaces Flacco in Indy, which I think would be a good spot for him. So a lot of here's where the Vikings are. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, their GM, has seen the value of having a quarterback on a rookie deal. And we've seen it with the Eagles, right? When they had Carson Wentz, they went for it. Jalen to a certain extent. It wasn't that long though, if I'm recalling correctly, where they had that rookie deal because eventually he hit, and it's like, yeah, you got to pay him. So he's in this JJ McCarthy, and year one's already gone, right? So theoretically, if he hits, you only get year 2 and year 3.
Yeah.
So they're kind of in that. We had this vision of we got the rookie quarterback and we could be really aggressive elsewhere. Well, now you might have to pay Sam Darnold 35 to 40 million or whatever over the course of 1 year to keep him. I mean, he's going to make it. He's going to make something at least in the 30s, which good for him. But I know that Darnold is looking at it saying, I'm not going to have the same weapons. I'm not going to have the same coaching staff. I'm not going to have an indoor stadium necessarily if I go somewhere else. This might be the best place for me. So I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up sticking in Minnesota for one more prove-it year.
How about Cousins? Where do you think he goes?
Yeah, Cousins, I mean, there's teams that are going to wind up missing out on between the Giants, Jets. I mean, the Jets have Tyrod Taylor. It wouldn't kill you. I mean, you could go with him if you wanted to, but Giants, Jets, Browns, Steelers, all these teams have kind of Steelers. I know we're trying to get in on the Stafford deal, and he was never entertaining that. So the Steelers are going to wind up, and these teams are going to wind up being like the fallback. So Cousins is the first line of defense, I think, in the fallback. But I also believe that this one could take a while because there's no cooperation between the sides, and he's pissed at what happened last year. So why am I going to help you? He's got a no trade clause. Why am I going to help you now create a trade?
Right.
And they're going to sit there and pay. There's an extra $10 million that's going to trigger, and they're kind of like, it's the cost of doing business to get a better pick. So I believe that this could actually take a while to play out with Cousins. It could be up to, if not through the draft, to see maybe which teams need a quarterback at that point, or maybe even miss on one at that point. And in the meantime, he doesn't show up for OTAs or anything like that, but who cares?
Rodgers to the Giants. There's a lot of Rodgers to the Giants. I know the Raiders.
Yeah.
Like, where do you think he winds up?
Rams as a fallback, if Stafford didn't happen, was probably the most reasonable and realistic one. Obviously, that's not going to happen now. Somebody had mentioned to me he wants to play for the Niners. That's not going to happen. They're going to continue to try to get a deal done with Brock Purdy. I gather those talks are, because that to me was going to be an interesting one, because he's the last pick in the draft, right?
Yeah.
And you always kind of sort of have your draft position held over your head. And sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. And but the Niners know that what they've got. So apparently they've started talking. Apparently it was not an insulting offer or anything like that. So they're going to continue to talk here moving forward. And then Minnesota was the other one for Rodgers, back in the NFC North, indoor stadium. So if that doesn't work out, we'll see. But
oh my gosh, it's like Favre. He's going Jets, Vikings. That's crazy.
Would be interesting, right? But I do know that there's interest from the Giants in Rodgers. I just don't know if it's going to be, mutual, basically. It may come down to Aaron Rodgers saying, if I want to continue playing football, I've got to go to one of these places where they're not necessarily going to compete. And he did say he wants to be a mentor or be open to the possibility of being a mentor. That's going to have to be part of it, no matter where he goes at this point.
All right. The player that everybody here cares about on the wish list, on the prayer list, Myles Garrett.
They're not trading him, dude. They're not trading him. Not trading him yet. Not trading him now. Things can change. I mean, look, somebody's going to come off of their staff because he says he wants a trade. He's not interested in a long-term deal. They say they're not trading him. There's no world that they would want to go into 25 without Myles Garrett. Somebody's going to bend, right? The only other possibility is retirement. You know what I mean? And nobody's been talking about that. So somebody's going to eventually break here. And I believe it's going to take a while. We're going to be into training camp, and he doesn't show up at training camp. That's my prediction for a timeline for this one. And then at some point, the Browns may have to say, look, we got to do something here, right? And if you take it through the draft, your draft pick compensation will then be for next year, which is deemed to be a better draft, especially from a quarterback standpoint. So that could be the play here for the Browns to say, well, if he comes back, great. If he doesn't, at least we're moving on to the 26th draft and we're going to get better compensation. But, and I like Kevin Stefanski and I like Andrew Berry, and I think that they're both good at their jobs. Last year had a variety of issues. I never would have advised the Deshaun Watson thing in the first place, but whatever.
Right.
They have to win, right? So like, it's great. They may get a bunch of stuff for the 26th draft, but if they go 3-14 again,
Yeah, they're out.
they're not coming back.
Yeah.
You know, so this is why these guys are. If it was an earlier part of their regime and they go, oh, we know we've got the security of a couple of years, we may be more willing to make this move. They've got to win games, and you get rid of Myles Garrett.
You know, it's weird because we just had this conversation with the Sixers because of Embiid and Morey, and you know, Morey could be out. What do? You know, you got to do what's best for the team, which is shut everybody down. Like you got to shut Maxey down, you got to shut George down, and then go get the pick. In Cleveland, if you're ownership and you like those guys, and I think both those guys are good, all right, you got to give them assurances. Like, hey, we know that next year is going to be a challenge. All right, we're going to give you this opportunity. So if things go awry, like there's no stress, and you don't hurt the future of the franchise by overachieving.
By overachieving or underachieving?
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a point where you have to you'd want to keep Myles Garrett, right? So if it's better for you that you get your draft capital for the following year, but it hurts your record, I mean, I give them the security so I get the draft capital next year.
And if you're Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam walks in and tells you that right now,
do you trust him, right?
Listen, bro, you're good for 2026. You know.
Well, talk to my agent and put it in writing.
The $5 in your pocket gets you a.
Well, no, but you're gonna put give me the extension. Show it to me. If you believe in them,
Yeah, but didn't they just get extensions last offseason? I think they did. Yeah. So this would be 2 years into their new deals, although they had 1 year left. So, I don't. That's
but you know what I'm saying. This happens all the time in sports, right? Where the future of the franchise is in the balance, and you got guys that are pressured about their jobs, and you go, all right, I need you to make the right decision for the franchise.
If I'm Jimmy Haslam, I owe Deshaun Watson $92 million over the next 2 years. I look in the mirror and I say, I made a big mistake on that one, right? So I would almost advise, tear it down, right? Trade him, because now you're going to get, no matter what, you don't go quarterback in this draft, which, I think the Giants may wind up forcing a square peg into a round hole here with an early quarterback, because if these quarterbacks were that good, the Tennessee Titans sitting at 1 would take a quarterback. Like the notion that they're sold on Will Levis or there's another option out there is bananas. If Cam Ward was that good, and they still might, but they're open for business. I know that. And they're going to have to bluff like if they are open for business, they're going to have to bluff like they're interested in these guys, which they're doing this week. All the visits are lined up this week, which is lightning quick. Usually this stuff lasts through March and into April. But I think that they're really putting on a show here before the start of the league year to be like, hey, look at all these quarterbacks we're bringing in. If you want them, you better make a move for us now. So I believe that that's what's going to wind up happening. You're asking me right now, Giants trade up to 1, they take Cam Ward. That's my prediction. Especially if they miss out on all these veteran quarterbacks, which they're already 1 in the hole with Stafford. So if I'm the Browns, I'm going to sit at 2. I'm going to get Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter at that point, non-quarterback wise. 2 outstanding talents that we're being talked about. So you get that, plus you get the compensation for Myles Garrett if you trade him away. I would play the long game, but knowing that, I'd either have to use, like you're saying, commit to this regime moving forward and have to make some kind of signal to the fan base, like, I know we're going to suck again. I am sorry. This is the best move in the long term.
I mean, listen, you guys aren't stupid in Cleveland. You see it. All right, we made a colossal mistake with Deshaun Watson, and it set us back. This is the pain we got. All right, we got to deal with it.
But to collect their, you could like outright release him, but to collect their insurance money on him, which they do get a significant portion back, they have to have him on the roster. That's why, like, every time you ask him for a timeline, there is no timeline, right? And this guy tore his Achilles, and he retore it. I know that there's complications with it, but the Achilles injury is not what it used to be, right? You were out like over a calendar year. It's not that anymore. So from the time he first tore his Achilles, it was like, whoa, wait, we don't know if we'll be back for the. now he retore it, that complicated it again, but still should be able to get back. So now you're not going to see a time frame from them because that's the play for the Browns at this point.
If the Garrett thing lingers,
yeah,
then does that open a door for a team like the Eagles? Because the one thing that Howie will do, like now, if you're in training camp, this is where Howie can work magic.
I mean, he could do it any time of the year. He's done that, but but their draft pick compensation, especially if you add Myles Garrett, you got to assume is in the mid to mid 20s to possibly 32 in the first round. That doesn't help you. Yep. So there's got to be something else on top of that you're willing to provide for him. So we'll see. There's a lot of different ways that he can go on this one.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, Jeremy Fowler this weekend said that there's a new quarterback on the Browns' radar, Carson Wentz. Can that have any validity?
I know Kansas City wants Carson Wentz back, and it would be the same deal, it would be the same situation, but Andy believes he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. At least that's what he communicated to him. Now, is it an unquestioned franchise? It's not that role, but it's one of these jobs we're talking about, whether it's Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Giants, Jets, something like that, to be some kind of a bridge or a chance to reset. So it sounds like his year in Kansas City went well. And Andy's pretty good about letting other guys know, like, yeah, this guy did well here this year. We want him back, but I think he should have an opportunity. So I think he'll be in the mix there somewhere. I mean,
he helps
Carson
players
Wentz.
A lot. He always has.
Carson Wentz. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. Even Cousins, the guys that used to be starters 3, 4, 5 years ago that are now going to be bridge starters or a chance to at least have a spot start for a team like the Jets or Giants or Browns here.
All right. Curious now, when we look at the Eagles free agents, let's start with Bond, because I kept hearing that should happen. What are you hearing about the Eagles free agents? Bond, obviously, Becton, Sweat, Milton Williams.
Sweat and Williams are gone. They're going to make way too much money than they can afford. So give them the old thank you tweet to those guys from the team account because they're on their way. Bond is they want Bond back. They do. And what are my numbers? Bond's going to make get these rough estimates here, and sometimes they wind up being right. Sometimes they're a little bit off. But what was the estimate on Bond here from my numbers guy? Open up the sheet. Zach Bond, where's your linebackers? 13 a year. He's got him at 13 a year, leading the way ahead of Nick Bolton, which is good money. I mean, the off the ball linebacker market was up. Darius Leonard was. It's a weird market because it took off. C.J. Mosley really started it. The Jets wanted him so bad that he went up to like 17. Leonard was at 20. Roquan was somewhere around there, and then it fell off. Who was it? Zaire Franklin did a deal around 11 or something. I was like, whoa, when did this come back down? So now it's back down into the 11, 12, 13, and my numbers estimate guys got him here at 13. So we'll see. That's not a terrible number.
That's a good number for the Eagles. That's a good number.
I did appreciate. Yeah, if it gets higher than that, I think if it gets to the point where somebody's bidding and it gets off, then I think they're out.
Right.
But I don't know if they're going to get that on him. The thing about Bond is he's done a little bit of everything. He's done some pass rush in the past. He's played off the ball. He's been a leader type. He's been a role player type. He's been special teams. So he has shown the value in that regard. There are other guys out there. Nick Bolton, Jamie and Sherwood with the Jets, who's probably one of the more underrated guys outside of this market. They appreciated him here. He's been playing on bad teams too, so that hasn't helped things. I think they got a shot to, and I think Bond has appreciated what happened here and likes Vic Fangio's defense. It's one of those, like, I can chase a few more dollars, but I may get a chance to win another Super Bowl here and play well in that defense. Becton's going to be interesting because there's a ton of talent there. There is untapped potential. But there's also the questions that have lingered over him the last couple of years. And I know, similar to Zach Bond, it's like, I know what it's like elsewhere. And I know what it's like inside the Eagles building with Stoutland. He would, I'm not speaking for him. He would take a discount to stay with the Eagles. Question is, how big of a discount is it? So we'll see. Guards get paid a ton of money. My numbers estimate guys got him at 10, which I think is low. So we'll see. I mean, if it's at 10,
I think that's low. I do too.
I I think it's low. Sometimes my guy's off. I'll tell. He had one the other day. He sent me. I said, "What are you nuts?" It was Darius. We got a bet going. It's like just for pride, basically. Darius Slayton at $12 million a year, the Giants receiver. I said he made half of that, and then his numbers went down. So I challenge him on a few of these, but a lot of them he's spot on.
Yeah. I don't see that at all. I'm with you. I'm on team Mikey G. I don't see that. Hey, combine stuff. What else did you see as far as the Heat? We talk about the quarterbacks. First of all, I love Abdul Carter. I think Abdul Carter clearly over. To me, he should be the first pick. That kind of talent. The foot's not going to be an issue for me. I think Tennessee, unless you get a lot, I think you got to stay and take Abdul Carter.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're talking about a lot, you're going from 1 to 3. The Giants are coming up to take a quarterback. If it is the Giants,
I would do that.
Now, if you're out of that range,
I guess it's more about Hunter. Like, to me, I heard people talking about Travis Hunter. I think Abdul Carter is going to be way better than Travis Hunter.
Yeah, but I'd be okay with dropping the 3 and getting a guy that's going to make an impact on both sides of the ball and is a real hard worker and a humble kid. And
he's a good kid. Is he going to play?
I say that, people.
Is he going to be able to play both ways? You think he plays both ways?
Even if he's 100% cornerback and he moonlights as a wide receiver, that's value. That's added value.
Well, they talk about jackknife, and guys love jackknife.
Yeah.
But Abdul Carter, to me, D-line, like we know, like the Eagles show you the way. The one thing the Eagles have done is between their offensive line and their D-line, it's what wins games. Jalen Carter, what an impact between Carter and Nolan Smith. They destroyed the Kansas City front, and that's what you see it. Anyway.
And I saw somebody say, "Oh boy, the Eagles made a mistake. They didn't extend Milton Williams earlier." You couldn't. Like, there's just not enough. They're going to have to say goodbye to him and maybe even Jordan Davis at some point here. Say like we've because
you got Mitchell and DeJean that are going to be around the corner that you're going to have to take care of.
Yeah, plus your quarterback and everything you're doing on the offensive side of the ball with the offensive line as well. It's a constant juggling act. It's why they're pushing those cap hits into the future. Don't know why other teams are not doing it. I don't know how the Saints cannot get out of the cap hell and the roster salary cap gymnastics that they're doing every single year, and some of these other teams that have that policy as well. When you're the Eagles and you do what they do, and they're not in that spot and still have flexibility to do what they need to do, it's pretty incredible, man. This is a deep defensive tackle draft. You're hearing that a lot from everybody. You're hearing that there's edge players as well. So, somebody's going to spend big on. Well, the Cowboys seem like they're going to retain Osa Odigizua. He's the other defensive tackle on the market. And then somebody's going to spend big on Milton Williams, and the Eagles are like, well, we're going to have to draft a defensive tackle round 2, round 3. That's what he's done. How he's, whether it's Dickerson or Juergens, to take those picks where he did, and Dickerson coming off the injury, knowing he was getting the value a year ahead. That's how you're supposed to do your job there. You don't hit on all of them, but his batting average certainly has been higher than some of these other guys that do take those swings.
Hey, real quick, I love quarterbacks. So just real quick, what are you hearing as far as who's gotten heat from the combine of the rookie class, which we already talked about? Ward clearly's one. Shador, I don't know. I know he's going to. You got Milrow, that is a project. Shuck is a riser. He's about 35 years old.
Jackson Dart.
Yeah, Dart's rising, I hear. And I love Mikhail, so I love the kid.
Yeah. Dart and Quinn Ewers from Texas had a good week. And meeting-wise, football IQ-wise, in the room-wise. Shador doesn't sound like they all went that well. But it only takes one, right? I don't want to say, oh, boy, his meetings were terrible.
Yeah.
He's not everybody's flavor, I know that the Giants like him. I'm just skeptical if the Giants go up to 1 that they take them there. To me, it's that you're doing it for Cam Ward.
Yes.
I find it hard to believe that everybody else in the league is looking at it like there's a huge separation, and only one team's going to be like, well, no, they're neck and neck. And I know they like Shador. I just the more I hear them, and they've talked about it publicly. The more I hear them talk publicly about them liking Shador, the more I'm like, yeah, I know what you're doing here.
Yeah.
I see that it's more about Ward. So we'll see.
And what'd you hear about McCord? Anything? I know he met with the Saints twice.
Yeah. Not a whole lot there. Not a whole lot. I haven't heard. His name didn't come up much. It was more the other guys that I was hearing about. Dart, and I've been hearing about Dart since back at the Senior Bowl.
I know.
This was,
I know.
He's not getting enough love, and he would do well when it comes to this time of year because he throws well in these settings. He does well in the meetings. So that's the riser for you. Although the teams will tell you we had him where you guys way back in the season.
Yeah. Great stuff. Listen, so much fun. I love this. This is great. This is great stuff. You're the best, buddy. Everybody should follow hometown hero himself, Mike Garafolo, at Mikey G, at Mike Garafolo, and NFL Network. What do you got planned for, what's the network got planned for us to watch coming up?
Well, we've got our Insider Show daily, back on the air. We had Thursday, Friday off because of the Combine. But we're back on the air 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday to Friday. And then starting on Sunday, Free Agency Frenzy. Sunday evening at some point, we're doing 2 or 3 hours. And then starting on Monday, we'll be wall-to-wall. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I think Friday as well. So wall-to-wall coverage.
Love it. Love it. Great stuff, brother. Thank you. As always, you're the best.
You got it. See you, boys.
There he is, Mike Garafolo. I love all this stuff. It's great.
I wanted to squeeze in some Meatcuff talk, but I know we got Baldy coming up.
Yeah, we got Baldy, man. We got plenty of time for Meatcuff. He's the best.
Yeah, but we only get Mikey once a week. We know he's a flyer head.
Yeah, he's a good flyer, man. It's the truth. He is. All right, let's talk about some of our friends, shall we? Like Rite Aid. Oh yeah, allergies. You're bothering my body.
This morning I woke up, my throat was so itchy. They're back. Rite Aid, the allergies are back. How can they be back? But they
never left me.
Spring allergies, they can begin as early as February and apparently as early as March 3rd because they're in gear. You know the drill. What causes your allergies? Pollen from trees, grasses, and weeds. Pigweed, ragweed. They're all primary causes of seasonal allergies. And, your body misidentifies these substances as a threat, such as pollen, and starts kicking out histamines to fight off the allergens. You get the runny nose, the itchy, watery eyes, itchy throat, wheezing, sneezing. So Rite Aid can help you out. What can you do to get some relief? First of all, sign up for some Rite Aid rewards at riteaid.com/rewards to receive email alerts when allergens are elevated in your area. Check your pollen accounts, shower frequently, wear protective masks when gardening if you got a garden. And Rite Aid's got some over-the-counter options available. You can try a nasal rinse to flush out your nasal passages if that's your thing. They got antihistamines such as Claritin, Zyrtec, and you can also do those nasal corticosteroids like Flonase, Nasacort. They all got all this stuff in Rite Aid's brand, which is just as good, save you some bucks. Still not get enough relief after all that? Ask a Rite Aid pharmacist if a different type of allergy medication like a decongestant might be necessary. And you can always ask a Rite Aid pharmacist for recommendations on ways to get relief during this allergy season.
All right, buddy. We appreciate it. Let's time out and talk about Parx Casino. Our casino of choice right here. They have it all: action, excitement, headline entertainment. Check out concerts, comedy, MMA, boxing at the state-of-the-art Excite Center. Plus thousands of hot slots, state-of-the-art sportsbook, beautiful poker room, and a collection of award-winning restaurants. Parx Casino, this is how you win Pennsylvania's #1 casino. Tickets on sale now for these headliners. You ready? July 26th, the hilarious Joe Gatto from Impractical Jokers.
Yeah, Impractical Jokers. I like that. I'm a fan of those guys. They're on constantly. That show is on like 24 hours a day.
Is it really? I've never seen it.
You've never seen it? You wouldn't like it.
No.
No, not your thing.
July 3rd.
For us, the dummies. It's for us dummies.
Grammy-winning songwriter Gary Clark Jr.
I like Gary Clark. I got to get more familiar with his songs. I want to do him justice because
he was a wide receiver for Washington. He was the Smurf, I think.
Oh yeah,
Gary Clark. Comedian Ron White, March 20th.
He's a camp stupid.
The Motown sounds of the Isley Brothers.
Ooh, this old heart of mine's
April
been
11th.
broke 1,000 times each time you break away.
Comedy duo Chad Daniels and Kelsey Cook from the Pretend Problems podcast.
All right.
Psychic medium Matt Frazier on April 18th.
Dude, I'm about the psychic. Oh, the pagan, my mom, they've gone to see these.
We got to get him in here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I bet your mother's big on the mediums, Joey. She's a big Gina Marone's a big medium person.
They talk to your relatives that have passed on.
Everyone's going to be all right. I talked to
yeah. Talk to the guys upstairs.
Oh, it's fabulous. I knew your mother would be a big medium person. That's great. The band live from Reading, PA, and former Todd Schill client.
Yeah.
On April 20th.
crashes and a new mother cries. Oh, Julia joining. Nice.
I like it, Jules.
Nice.
Comedian Gary Owen, April 26th. Larry the Cable Guy, May 16th. And comedian Mark Norman, July 12th. Don't forget dinner and drinks before the show. Liberty Bell Gastro Pub and Beer Garden, Parksville Steakhouse, Bamboo Noodle House, Chickies and Pete's, ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, what we've been waiting for. Back home from the Combine. The one, the only, Baldy.
Baldy. Oh, let's talk some football. Ay, Baldy. Oh, he likes meats and football.
Oh, Baldy. Ah, there he is. What's
Morning,
up,
Coach.
superstar?
Morning. How we doing? How we feeling today?
We eat some meat?
Huh?
You eat some meat?
I'm just finishing up my sausage.
Yeah.
I have a carnivore breakfast every day. So I loaded up with bacon and sausage and then this cheese omelet. So I just threw a bunch of protein down.
That's all right, man.
He had a solid shirt on Instagram stories, I think, this weekend. There is no off season.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we sold a bunch of those t-shirts a few years ago.
That's fabulous. All right. We got a lot to begin. You were there. What was your couple big takeaways from your time at the Combine?
Well, it's the analogy of the winter baseball meetings for baseball.
Yeah.
So everybody's there. I mean, you can't take two steps and not bump into somebody. I never met Mike McDonald before, but I see Leslie Frazier. He comes up to me. He's the defense coordinator for Mike in Seattle. Next thing I know, I'm talking to Mike McDonald about, Devin Witherspoon. Or I'm talking to a buddy of mine who's in the insurance business. Here comes Aaron Glenn. So like you can't take two steps without bumping into somebody. So then I do stuff for the Jets and the Giants. And when that news broke that Stafford was going back to the Rams, that crushed the Giants.
Yeah.
It crushed them.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got Tommy DeVito as their quarterback right now. And that's it.
Yeah.
They were really hoping to get into the game. So that was news. And then I'm not real crazy about all these drills and all that kind of stuff, but I do like seeing players compete. I don't care what it is. I just like seeing guys go out there and line up and try their best at anything. I don't care what the drill is. Guys are jumping out of the gym and every running back's running a 4.4 and all that stuff is great. So that's that. But I do like watching guys compete. And honestly, Thursday night was a show because the strength of this whole draft, and it's well documented, is the defensive line.
Yep.
I mean, I've got literally 40 guys on the board behind me. I've studied maybe 10 of them so far. I mean, talking about edge rushers, 3 techniques, nose tackles, big guys, 3, you name it. They've got them all in this draft.
Well, and that's the thing. Listen, we know what the Eagles are going to need D-line. They're going to lose 2 of them for sure in Sweat and Milton Williams. So that's going to be a big deal for them So we're going to later at some point, I got to come see you this week. We're going to do a bunch of stuff because you'll be in all week, right?
I'm here all week, man.
Yeah.
Just grinding away.
So I'll be grinding with you this week. So we're going to do a bunch of stuff. We also have Spags. We're picking out a day to do our sit down with Spags to go over the Super Bowl. So that'll be interesting as well. So let's go the other side of the baseball winter meeting side, all the rumors and everything else. So Stafford goes back to the Rams. Now it leaves Rodgers, Cousins. What are they going to do with Darnold? You mentioned the Giants with people are already linking Rodgers to the Giants now. What are you hearing?
Well, Aaron's home in New Jersey is actually closer to the Giants facility than it is to the Jets facility by a few minutes. He doesn't have to move. I don't think that's what they want to do. It's not a great list, but it all has to basically get done in the next week, because next week is free agency.
Yeah.
So you really want to, if you're going to sign one of these guys, you really want to get it done before free. I mean, it's going to happen quickly with these quarterbacks. The carousel is going to spin very fast right now. And then, then teams can start loading up for the draft and figuring out if that's the best option. But it's not a big list. I mean, I don't know what Kirk Cousins is going to command after the fall off we saw a year ago. Is that tied to the Achilles injury? Does he come back? I don't know. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the next shoe to probably fall is going to be, okay, does the Minnesota Vikings, do they franchise tag Sam Darnold? We're going to find that out pretty soon. I don't know why they wouldn't. I don't think there's any rush on J.J. McCarthy. Get Sam for a year, let them compete. I don't know that he's going to get on the market. If he does, there's going to be a strong competition for Sam Darnold.
You think about it. It's not a big wild, list. I mean,
there's Justin no Fields out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Steelers need a quarterback.
Yeah.
They don't have a quarterback right now.
All these teams need quarterbacks, and there's just not a lot of them. And this is the worst quarterback draft. It's a weak quarterback draft. Not only more projects, man.
I mean, you could look at this thing game by game. I studied there was a great game played this year. I don't know if you saw it because I know you watch a lot. But the Syracuse-Miami game was a great game.
Great game.
Syracuse is down 21-0. Kyle McCord brings it back. It's one great throw after another. I mean, and he outplays Cam Ward. Now, Cam didn't play poorly, but he couldn't put him away. And so, it's funny. Like I get on the plane in Miami on Thursday morning, and who's sitting right behind me but Dan Marino? So, you can't have Dan Marino sitting behind you, and you can't start talking about Cam Ward or some of these quarterbacks. I mean, presumably, he's going to the combine to kind of look at some of these kids and give the Dolphins his thoughts. Like, it's not like he's giving a rave review to Cam Ward. And Dan isn't a guy that publicly berates anybody. It's not his style. But, I mean, he could, but, questionable decisions and some of his decision-making comes into question. Now, does that get cleaned up? I mean, it's not. Look, if Bo Nix was in this draft, he'd be the first pick of this draft.
Yes. Yes.
He'd go to Tennessee, number one. Now, he had a perfect storm with Sean Payton, and Sean is just a master. So maybe he doesn't have the same success. But, there's no Jaden Daniels in this draft. I don't think there's a Michael Penix Jr.
No.
It is. They're going to overreach for these guys that I don't know that any of them are going to be ready to play.
No.
Next
year. It's funny, they're all kind of projects. Like Shador, I don't know what you're getting with Shador.
Go watch the BYU game to finish the season.
I know.
Go watch that performance. And then he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything at the combine. Look, I understand that this shift is changing, but 2 years ago, C.J. Stroud competed and threw.
Yep.
And it cemented his position.
Yep.
All right. I mean, he is a talent, but you could see it. Like we saw it, in the national championship game. We saw it in the playoffs. We saw everything. But then he went out and competed, and he threw. And, it was a great performance. And so, I don't know, if you're raising two boys, you want to see your kids just go compete. I just want to see guys throw a football. I know it's not to the guy that he threw to every day in practice, but just go throw a football. I mean, I just don't get it.
I don't get it either. I don't know why these guys don't want to do it. I just don't understand it.
Honestly, we're not judging every throw. We're looking at a lot of different things. How the ball comes out. What's the drop like? What's the footwork look like? We know that the balls, not all of them are going to get completed in Indianapolis to, some of the receivers are thrown to. So what? Like, go compete. Like, go show us why you're the number one pick.
Exactly.
I mean, imagine, I'm just imagining Dan Marino turning down a chance to go throw football when he's 22 years old. Like, I can't even imagine it.
Yeah, right. And the thing I don't get is it's not like there's risk of injury, right? Like now, you're talking about just throwing a ball. Let me see it. Let's see what you got. Let me see. Like,
honestly, because like I announce games every Sunday, so I'm always on the field, and I watch every quarterback throw. Like I've done 20 Pat Mahomes games since he's been in Kansas City.
Yeah,
I still go watch him throw every week.
Yeah,
because there's something about watching Mahomes throw a football that's just fun.
I love it. Yeah,
But even like Justin Herbert, like even the young guys, like I couldn't wait to watch Jaden Daniels throw this year. When I did my first Washington Chicago game, like I don't know, like I just want to watch a guy throw football.
Dude, I feel the same way. And Shador, of all people, listen, I get it. He didn't have a good O-line. They could never get an O-line in front of him. I understand it. But let me see what you got. Like, let me just see it. Like, I don't get why you're diving it up. You're a diva. I just don't understand it. And then I look at it.
Comes off that way. I think it comes off that way. I mean,
it does.
I don't know. But he didn't really, like seeing quarterbacks not throw, but they bonded with everybody. Like, I didn't really see that. Like, I don't know. It's just a weird vibe to me.
Who of these quarterbacks, do you see anything like, Milroe is a freak, right? Like,
why isn't he playing college football this year, cuz?
He should.
Why isn't he grabbing a $3 million check and playing college football?
I had this argument all day. I was talking to somebody in the league over the weekend about this. And I'm going, Hurts showed you the blueprint. Like, I know Alabama didn't want him back, right? So who cares? Like, Jalen went to Oklahoma.
Yeah, but Jalen went to Oklahoma after he finished the next year and graduated. It was a grad transfer. There wasn't like this portal thing. And then he grad transferred to Oklahoma, won the job, was in the Heisman race for probably the first 9 or 10 weeks of the college season. But you go back and play.
And you're, like you said, you're collecting a check. And Milroe is going to command a big check.
A big check. Like I saw the numbers for some of these high school kids coming out because it starts at like $4 million. Like it's ridiculous. I mean, I that's another conversation. But like Milroe should be playing college football this year.
He should. I can't believe it. Now you look at the guys. I guess Jackson Dart. We just had Mikey on Garafolo, and I heard the same thing. That Dart's rising. I love my boy Kyle. Right? You mentioned at the start. I watched that Miami game because I watched all Kyle's games, and he can spin it. Kyle can spin the ball, man.
No, they're going to bring up the Pittsburgh game at the end of the year where he threw 5 interceptions and 3 pick sixes. They'll bring up all that. That's fine. But, the guy started off highly recruited, Ohio State, went to Syracuse, finished out strong. I mean, Jackson Dart's got it. You watch his game against Georgia because, like, they beat the Georgia Dog. I mean, he played great. Didn't make a mistake in the game. Good decision-making. Like, there's a lot of things I like about Jackson Dart. He's well-coached.
You're coming from Lane, so you got Lane's offense. You got they spent a lot of money on that offense. They had a good O-line. They had those basketball receivers.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, the outlier over the last 5 years is always going to be Brock Purdy. Is there a Brock Purdy out there that nobody's paid attention to that can play the way Brock Purdy is going to command $60 million a year? So, is Jackson Dart, can he be that guy? Can Kyle McCord be that guy? I don't know. Like, we know all the names. It's just such a different game. Like, I'm watching Cam Ward play a game the other day. I forget which one I was watching. Not the Syracuse, another game. Like, it was all bubble screens. Just bubble screens, just point and shoot. There's no progressions. Almost the entire game, I'm just waiting for an NFL throw. With somebody coming, with Jalen Carter coming right at him, like he did against, Matt Stafford. And can he make the throw? Can he bend it around the oak tree? Can he keep his eyes on the target? Like, I don't know some of these things.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Switching gears a little bit, Myles Garrett. What do you think happens there? And there's a whole. You got the issues of the coach and the GM, Kevin and Barry,
Andrew Barry.
And so what do? They want to keep him. Obviously, it's a stalemate
Andrew
right
Barry
now.
came from the Eagles.
Right,
he came from the Eagles.
I know him. Yeah.
Okay, so he grew up under Howie.
Yep.
I believe that the Eagles are going to make some kind of play. Now, I don't know what the compensation is. Does it start at 2 number ones? Like, if the compensation is too great and you can't fit the salary in, okay, I understand. That's a complication. But Howie has gotten beyond all of that with A.J. Brown, with different players. So I think Cleveland is in a complete rebuild. I feel bad for Stefanski, but they look like they're in a complete rebuild. Like, are they really going to march Deshaun Watson back out there again? They're going to take quarterback at number 2. Like, where are they? Because players want out. They don't want to be there. And so is this an opportunity to get Myles Garrett coming off his 4th straight 14-plus sack season, something nobody has ever done before, a Defensive Player of the Year award. He blocked the freaking field goal at halftime against the Eagles, to keep the Browns in a game that day on last year. Like, he's a freak. So do you cash in and go, let's just start acquiring chips and let's just start building this thing, all over again, because it's not working right now.
See, but I don't know if he can. I don't know if they can do. I keep hearing that there's no way they can fit. I mean, I guess there's always a way.
Well, I don't know.
But I keep hearing from the Eagles standpoint, it's not doable.
Okay, it's entirely possible. It might be just too big, and it's just hearsay. But when the player says he wants out, it doesn't want to be there, and Myles Garrett has never been a troublemaker, never got in trouble. He's never done any of those things.
Fantastic,
He's a player. And if you meet Myles Garrett, like I posted something with me, him, and Lane this weekend, after a scrimmage that they had 2 years ago, he's all ball. He's been guided by Bruce Smith. He wants to be a Hall of Fame player. Like, he knows that he's in the prime of his career in a situation that looks untenable to go win right now. And so he wants out. Now, Cleveland could say, we're not listening, and that's their answer right now. But is it the right answer? If they sit behind closed doors and go, okay, if we can get 2 number ones and a player from the Eagles, from, the Philadelphia Eagles, should we consider it? Like, I think there should be some conversation, because the player clearly doesn't want to be there.
No, listen, I'm with you. And I mean, I would love nothing more to see Myles Garrett, Jalen Carter, and Nolan Smith on the same front. I mean,
it's not fair. It's not fair. It isn't. And if Jordan Davis, gets his butt in gear like I think he's going to this year, like, it could be a weekly occurrence where they never blitz. Like, they might never blitz. I don't play Madden. I don't know anything about Madden. But, like, can you play Madden without blitzing?
It's unbelievable. I still go back. I can't wait to talk to Spags about this, because, as an admirer of defense, of what the Eagles were able to do was just amazing. I mean, I still, that Jalen Carter, he's so freaking good, man. He's so good.
Well, what's interesting is they got 2 kids coming out of Georgia this year, right? Jalen Walker, Mykel Williams. And that Mykel Williams, like, he played with the high ankle sprain all year, but he was still good.
Yeah.
But he, as an 18-year-old freshman, like, he was in that rotation with those guys winning the national championship at 18. Yeah. Like, and really, when you study Nolan Smith, like, you just didn't see enough of him at Georgia where you go, oh, he's going to be a bona fide player, because they're so deep and they're so good and they're so talented that they just rotate these guys through. Like, it's unbelievable the level of talent that's in that program.
It really is. You know what's funny? Their center, that Jared Wilson. Did you see him out down there? Because he loves Lane. He was asked, who's your favorite O lineman? And he went right to Lane. I thought it was cool. The kid,
Well, it's pretty funny. I'll tell you a funny story. So Friday, I spent the combine in the Steelers box. My buddy Andy Weidel. Yeah. So it's funny. Like, the Steelers had great food, like hot food, and it kept coming. So the Eagles were down the road, and their food, I guess, evidently wasn't very good. So the Eagle Scouts were coming into the Steelers box and eating their ribs and their food. Okay, but it's Merrill Hodge is in there. He's doing stuff with the Steelers. Arthur Smith is their offense coordinator.
Yeah.
So he's just a football nerd. Like you could talk to Arthur Smith about any level of football. Okay, he's just fun to talk to. So I mentioned something about Lane Johnson that nobody will beat his 40 time, in this combine because the offensive linemen were running on Sundays. And he turns around and he's got his binoculars, he's watching whatever. He's like, I think Baldy, that's my favorite player of all time is Lane. Like I go, let me ask you, Arthur, all the games you watch, you ever seen Lane Johnson on the ground? He goes, he's never on the ground. He's the ultimate athlete, And so I don't know, like you can always get into a Lane Johnson discussion, but if that's the case with this kid from Georgia saying that says a lot. And I remember last year I posted something yesterday at the offensive line masterminds that Lane started with Duke Manyweather down in Frisco, Texas. Because the NIL money is so great, the entire offensive line of Alabama came last year.
Yes.
So there's Tyler Booker, and Caden Proctor, the whole group is there. And honestly, they came up to me and they said, hey, Baldy, can you put in one of our games and just analyze our play? So we put it like one of the Georgia games in. They all just sat there. We just got a clicker and we just talked through different plays and what the play was designed to do, what the adjustment was. It was great. It was great for me. I learned a lot about those guys, but it also tells you about how tuned in these college kids are.
Oh,
and why you don't see these kids
growing
up right now. Like they're all in. They want careers. So if they're studying Lane Johnson and Tyler Booker is studying Trey Smith in Kansas City, whatever it is, these kids are so far advanced.
They are. Dude,
where I was or anybody else was in this whole thing.
Yeah. No, here's what's lost in the generation talk. What's lost is people always, back in the day. These kids are way more advanced because they're learning. Look at the quarterbacks. They're learning stuff in 7th, 8th, and in high school. Like they're talking about, like it's unbelievable the type of what. Like I got Massimo working on the VR. He's going to be going to class. Like
James Daniels swears by it.
Yeah,
he swears by it. And Cliff Kingsbury, told me that he got on it and he swears by it too. Like the recognition, and you could tell, like the recognition of what Jaden had at the line of scrimmage. He called the whole season at the line of scrimmage.
Now these kids,
like,
I watch
this stuff.
It's unbelievable. The kid at the prep now, I tell you about the kid Charlie Falk, who's a sophomore. Like his day starts at 5:30. He works out, right? School, film study, work, throws again, right? Like that's off season. What this kid's doing. He's a sophomore in high school.
It's like it's like a Premier League soccer team. Yeah. David Beckham, he's in the program when he's 16. Like it's the same thing right now. That's where it's all at.
Yeah.
And so look, if the goal is to have a great and honorable and successful NFL career, these kids are on the right path doing this stuff.
I agree. By the way, as always, we continue on YouTube. We thank all of our friends on our channels all over, fast channels everywhere.
Guys, how about this group of running backs?
Oh, Genty.
The group of running backs.
But by the way, Genty is going to be a star. Genty's going to be a star.
Well, you know my guy Pete Pino over here at NFL Films, right?
Yeah.
Pete. So I just saw him. He just got back from Indy last night. He was filming all of the interviews, all during the week.
Oh,
so
wow.
He's got inside access to the other guy, and so he's posting all the interviews to all the teams and all that. Anyways, he's saying this Ashton Genty is like literally, he's Maurice Jones-Drew with maybe more speed. Yeah. Like, but I mean, this Ollie Gordon at Oklahoma State is 235.
Yeah.
Like they're all big.
Ollie Gordon's got speed too. Yeah.
They're all 220 and they're all running in the 4.4s.
Yeah.
And they all got a base.
Yeah.
They all got a base.
Yeah.
Like you're going to see, I mean, it's early, it's March 3rd, but I think you're going to see 3 running backs go in the first round.
Wow.
And I think you have to. You know, like if you're Kansas City, by the way, I know you need O-line help, but, you know.
No, if you could go get yourself Omar Hampton right now, if you get somebody like you could put that in that offense.
Yeah, it's good from North Carolina.
You know, with the receivers coming back, you know, and go drafting a left tackle. Like, I mean, yes, I could see them going with one of these running backs.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. And the other one is the tight ends too. The tight end class is very good, man. Obviously, Warren, we all know about from Penn State, but there's a lot of good tight ends out there too.
Yeah, I mean, this kid Arroyo at Miami,
yeah,
he had some injuries.
Yeah,
but when I saw him at the Senior Bowl, I remember we had a scouting thing one night where we were just breaking down practice for all these, you know, young scouts that are trying to get into business. And so me and this one guy from the Raiders ran the film. I mean, that Arroyo ran one good route after another. Like, he is a great route runner. And he is, like, I don't know, like, nobody's Brock Bowers in this draft. From a route standpoint after the catch, like, even Warren isn't that. But there is, you know, but you know, Loveland, you know, Michigan, like, there's a good group of guys.
Yeah, yeah. No, Bowers
Taylor,
is a freak.
Jason Taylor's son. I watched that kid, Mason Taylor, make some catches, you know, at Miami. That kid he's an elite receiver too.
He is. He is. It's so much fun. The talent. It's funny because the only position that's lacking right now is quarterback.
Yeah. Well, you know, last year the first 15 picks were all offense. Obviously, the quarterbacks, we had 5 go on the first 15, but we're not going to get that this year. Although I think quarterbacks are going to get pushed up. But this is a defensive draft.
Yeah,
like, you're going to see these guys, these linebackers, Jihad Campbell, Jalen Walker, like, these guys are freak. Like, this Jihad, I watched this kid warm up and run the other day. Like, he's 235, he's running 4.52. He can light you up off the edge. He chases everything down from inside linebacker. The same thing with the kid Walker at Georgia. Like, it is like there is elite defensive talent in this draft. I think there's a good safety draft for the first time in a while.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I
dominated the whole thing.
No,
because I got my boy and I'm going geek out. This is geek out time.
Yeah,
of the
you
year.
guys do your thing. I just had a life question, and I want to finish up with Baldy when you guys are done your football geek out.
You're going to ask about because we were talking about mediums. Do you believe in mediums, Baldy?
You mean like seances? Like there's
there's a medium coming to Parks, and in fact, our fine associate producer Joey, his mom Gina is a big believer in the medium, so she goes and sees the mediums to find out about the health of the family. I
remember my oldest sister got a Ouija board one time for her birthday.
I don't mess with that, man. Do not mess with the Ouija.
We did a collective seance. We were talking to some, Merlin the magician out there in the Never Land. I might have believed it a little bit in it then. I'm not quite sure I'm up to speed on what mediums are doing these days.
Yeah.
But we have a medium coming. Like, are we going to be talking to Martians, or what are we?
No, past relatives.
Oh, past relatives. Yeah, I kind of believe in the afterlife. Like, I believe I was definitely a Portuguese explorer. Sometime between Vasco da Gama and Balboa, somewhere I was probably on a ship.
You were Balboa. Is who you were.
Balboa.
Balboa.
I found a pathway.
I
found the Pacific Ocean in my past life 500 years ago.
Yeah, you know what the best is? You were probably with Columbus, right? And you got and then you got off on the island, and then you saw the native women, and you were like, "I'm out. See you, Chris. Good, enjoy yourself. I found paradise here."
You know what's funny about that, cuz, is I read a book one time called The Circumnavigation of the Globe. And it was Magellan's world trip, right? So it was a weird deal. Like, he got commissioned by the Spanish King Philip, but he was Portuguese. So it was weird to begin with. So anyways, they're trying to find a pathway to the Pacific Ocean. So they go out of the Mediterranean across the Atlantic, and they're hovering along the South American coast, and they're trying to find a passageway, and it became the Straits of Magellan. But along the way, they had they stop in Brazil, right? And
that's
they
where
have, like,
Baldy's
liberty.
out. He's out of Brazil.
They have liberty. The men are getting off the boats for the first time. They couldn't get the men back on the boat. Like they found Brazilian women, cuz they couldn't, like. So it's funny. He was really smart. Like, Magellan never made it. He never finished. He died in the Philippines in a gun battle. That's how they named it the Philippines. King Philip named it after him. So anyways, he never made it back. But he had a secretary named Pigafalo. And Pigafalo took these notes. And so when they discovered the notes, they ended up writing the book based off the notes. So Pigafalo, like, he's got all these notes on this trip. And he's, like, detailing how they couldn't get the men back in the boat. Like, it was too... The riches that Brazil had was too great for anymore. And when I read that, I'm like, nothing has changed in 500 years. Nothing's changed.
Oh, that's fabulous. Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, I was cooking this weekend. I was frying up some eggs. I put a little butter in the pan, and I was like thinking, and I put some butter on like a sweet potato. Do I have too much butter in my life? Baldy, what's your thoughts on butter? Is butter okay? Can you consume it?
No. But there's different types of butter, though. Like, there's some butter that's really, really good fat for you. Like, I believe in butter. Like, I don't care. I know the Italians are olive oil. I got my oil, and I put my oil in my protein shake every morning. But I'm a big believer in butter and fat. Like, fat in the meat, yeah. Like, nice. I think it's good, healthy stuff.
Yeah, I like it. My brother, great stuff. I'll text you later because we'll be over this week a lot. All right?
Sounds good, cuz.
All right, brother.
We'll make it happen. Thanks, man.
Baldy believes in butter.
Love it. Makes me feel better.
Baldy definitely was in Brazil back in the 500 years ago. You know that.
He's probably in Brazil this morning in his head.
You can't get the medal back on the boat. I love his analysis. They need a Baldy breakdown on that.
Yes.
That's fantastic. All right. Time now for the Rite Aid back in the day moment.
Yeah.
What do we got there, buddy boy?
Yeah, we got a little something going on. We're going back. We're going back. We're going back in the day with Rite Aid. Yeah. All right. How about March 3rd, 1983?
March 3rd, 1983. So you're going with either a Sixer or a Flyer.
Phillies.
March 3rd, 1983, spring training.
Steve Carlton agrees to a 4-year, $4.15 million contract, making him the highest paid pitcher in MLB history.
Well, and actually, that was the end of his career. He was not good.
4 years, $4 million.
He probably didn't see the end of the contract because he was in Chicago with the White Sox.
Probably.
Wow. 4 years.
$4.13 million.
That's
not
wild.
per year. I think it's total.
No, it's total. That's a total deal.
The highest paid pitcher.
And that was 1983.
Mm-hmm.
And now Shohei's going to get a $500 million.
$50 million.
That's wild.
Hey, I know we're already running late. I got like 3 pertinent nugs I think are cool.
Let's do it.
All right. Scotty Lawton. Trade rumors abound.
Yeah, the deadline.
Yeah,
this
he
week.
did it. He trolled people Friday night before the Winnipeg game. They went out to dinner, and the team recreated The Last Supper.
That's fabulous. That's great.
That was pretty cool. Shane Gillis hosted SNL. And
so they're saying that his skit, Couple of beers,
hysterical.
Was the greatest skit in the history of SNL.
Hysterical. Yeah, hysterical. So he introduced the musical act wearing a Bird's jacket. It looked like, that's cool.
Yeah, I love that. He's great, man.
Yeah,
he's great.
One more. Penn Quakers, big game this week, 92-87. They won.
I saw somebody,
Sammy Brown.
Somebody, in fact, it's amazing that Brett Brown's real son is not afraid to shoot when his surrogate son is. Didn't Sammy got 42?
42. It's the first 40-point Quaker game since 1989. Hassan Duncombe was the last person to put up 40 for the
42.
Quakers.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, Jules, great stuff as always. All right, having a head of production in.
It's nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Got royalty. Joey! Good stuff, Joe. All right. So we'll have a big week. A lot of football week. Spags will be one day this week.
Awesome.
We'll have Mike Sealski in to talk about his book, Dunk.
Cool. Is he coming in?
Yeah, he's coming in.
Sweet.
Looking forward to that. We've got a little basketball conversation there. Big
Yeah.
hockey week trade deadline. So we got lots of stuff to get to.
Yeah.
And of course, always baseball. Baseball.
Baseball.
Everybody have a great day. We love you, all right? Be careful. And we'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.